Talking about it's the end of my live broadcast. I'm back on. Okay, so this right here is called abjad. I want you to look the word up. All right, look the word up on the internet. Now, the English language is composed of 26 letters, and it is an imperfect language. The imperfect number is the number 6, because 7 is the number of perfection. Like everything in nature has 7 harmonies, 7 principles, the number 7. But this is 6. So if you take this language and you divide it in increments of 6, and you do this chart, I want y'all to write this down. I want y'all to write this down because I'm trying to impress something on your mind. 6 is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60, 66, 84, 90, 96, 102, 108, 114, 120, 126, 132, 138, 144, 150, and 156. Now, I went from A to Z in increments of 6. All right? So I started with 6 and ended with 156 when I got to Z. So I want you to write that chart down. All right? Now I want you to take the word corporate. First of all, I want everybody to go over and read Revelations 13, because y'all will not equate any of this with any type of spiritual significance for some reason, and think that something's going to work for you. I'm lost. I'm lost with that. I don't know where that came from, but Revelations 13, 18. Let's read Revelation chapter 13. Everybody keep talking about the name, the birth certificate, and all this dumb shit. All right. Heathens. It's heathens. Heathen information. That's why I call it heathen information. Y'all listen to them heathen gurus. Heathen gurus. All right. So right here, we're going to go over to 13, 18. All right. And he causes, let's start at 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Here's where the wisdom comes in. Let him that have understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, this number 666 been thrown around a lot. Some people who don't know where, when Dr. Malachi Z. York came out with, this stands for the 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and everything. You hear guys regurgitating that. They don't even know where it came from. It came out of the holy tablets that he wrote in the 1990s, in case you're interested in knowing. Yes, we know about that because we're the ones who put out the information. We're the ones who put that out. Just like overstand. We put that out, all right? So you're not telling me nothing about, it really stands for 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. And that's, read this right here, what it's saying. It's talking about a mark, buying and selling. This is talking about commerce. When you get to Revelations chapter 18, it's discussing commerce. Okay? So I want y'all to take this word corporate. Corporate. And I want you to use this chart and calculate the mark of the beast. C is 18, O is 90, R is 108, P is 96, O is 90, R is 108, A is 6, T is 120, E is 30. I want you to write down all those numbers and I want you to add them up, and I want y'all to put in the chat the number that you get after you add up. When you calculate all those numbers, I want you to calculate those numbers and tell me what you come up with. Now, after I do this, I want to challenge everybody to find another word that can do the same thing. I'm putting out a challenge for you to find a word that you can calculate that's going to equal. It took me 20 years to find this word. I got some more for you, though, too. 20 years. So 666. So did everybody calculate it? Or are you afraid to? Are you afraid to calculate? All right, so let's do another one. Let's do another one. All right, so this is the corporate entity. Everybody is a corporate entity. All right, so let's look at this right here. Let's look at the next. Let's go to the next one. Let's do this right here. New York. New York. To the chagrin of all you New Yorkers out there, yeah, y'all live in little Babylon. N is 84, E is 30, W is 138, Y is 150, O is 90, R is 108, and K is 66. I want you to take all those numbers and calculate them and tell me what you get. Post what you get. Post what you get after you add up all those numbers. Using this chart, calculate and tell me what you get. We're talking about numbers because numbers don't lie. Numbers are the language of the creator, mathematics. What do you get with this? New York comes from England, the Yorks and the Lancasters, I think, the War of the Roses. Somebody check me if my history is incorrect. I believe that the Jews, when they came to America, they were the ones that originally responsible for establishing New York. And that's why they call it the Empire State. It is the Empire State, and all of the world financials are on New York. Wall Street, all of that is on New York. All right. So you want to get a screenshot. All right. There you go right there. Let me get out your way so you get a screenshot. All right. So you got New York and you got corporate, and you're going to come up with what? 666. Okay. So I got another one for you. 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 All right, let's do this one. Computer. Computer. C is 18. O is 90. M is 78. P is 96. U is 126. T is 120. E is 30. R is 108. Take those numbers, write them down, and add them up and calculate the mark of the beast and tell me what you come up with. Tell me what you come up with. Tell me what you come up with. If you've done them, why y'all keep forgetting about it? I know I talked about it 100 times, but we got new people. I'm talking to the new people. All right? Come on, why y'all won't write it down? Put it in the chat. What you got? Did you calculate this? When two things happen, it's a coincidence. When three things happen, it's a warning. Coincidence comes from the word coincide. Two things. When you get beyond two, it's no longer a coincidence. So, why do we have computer equals 666? Why do we have corporate equals 666? Why do we have New York equals 666? I got another one for you. I got another one for you. Lucifer and hell together. Now the word hell comes from the word Sheol, which really means like the grave or something to that effect. And Lucifer means the bright morning star. But what's interesting, when you take both of these words and put them together and use this chart, you're going to get 666. Now I got a last one for you. One more. Anybody know what that is right there? Visa. When you look at Visa, you think you're looking at a word, don't you? But Visa, these are numbers. This is the Roman numeral 6. This is the Greek 6. And this is the Babylonian 6 from the chart that's up here on here. 666. You will not be able to buy the biggest credit card on planet Earth. You will not be able to buy or sell without the mark. Now, why am I showing you all of this? I'm showing you a connection between commerce, how they get you, because the real slavery is debt. It's like when you get put in debt, that is slavery. Even I was watching 12 Years a Slave. Go back and watch this movie because it was a real revealing movie, and you got to really listen to the dialogue to catch some of the things that were being said. When they first captured old boy and he was being sold into slavery, he went to a plantation. His master sold him to another plantation. He was begging his master not to sell him. He said, "I already sold your debt over to the other plantation." They indentured servants. They would have bonds on them. When people bought those, they were like indentured servants. They'd pay off their debt. Now, if you read Leviticus 25:45, it talks about how the Jews will be allowed to put the goyim, or the heathens is the word they use, even God. I don't know what's going on with this damn on a Facebook group. What I got? How much energy I got on there? I ain't got a lot of energy on there. Hold on. Okay, there it go. All right. We good? Okay. All right, so I'm starting off. I'm just prefacing everything that I'm talking about because I want y'all to know that, first of all, this is about commerce and business. Even in the book of Revelation, they talk about the merchants of the earth. All right, this is about business and commerce and them amalgamating you to this fictitious entity and then putting you in a form of bondage by some sort of conjured up debt that they've created that you weren't originally responsible for, but through a process called novation, they've made you responsible for this debt by giving you a social security number, which in my opinion is the mark of the beast, the social security number. That's the dog collar on everyone's neck, not the birth certificate. The birth certificate, and from my research, the only thing it does is evidence that you are a real living certificate to take to the Federal Reserve so they can get some money on it, is because you are alive. That means you're deeper. And everyone who is alive has a minimum value. That's why they have a minimum wage. You don't have anything called a maximum wage, but you do have a minimum wage. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Maybe I want to pop on over to Instagram or TikTok and watch me. I'm not sure what's going on in Facebook group. The other streams are going fine, but no problem. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. All right. So I want to get out in your mind, first of all, you cannot separate any of these processes from some sort of spiritual connection. You just can't do that because you're saying that you want to be under the common law. The common law was very rigid and very strict. That's why they came up with equity. Equity was a result of common law being too rigid and unforgiving. So that's why they came up with equity. Equity is fairness, impartiality, and even-handed dealing. All right, because under common law, you got stoned to death. You got killed if you stole something, or you raped somebody, or or you committed adultery, or whatever, things like that. A lot of things was a death sentence. It was a death sentence, and to them that was too harsh. Now I don't know why it was too harsh. I think we're seeing the result of that, because I think when there is a penalty of death hanging over the conduct of people, they have a tendency to conduct themselves more righteously, as it relates to their fellow man. Nobody's going to go and break in somebody's house and steal something if they know if they get caught, they're going to get the death sentence. Nobody is going to kill somebody dead if they know they're going to get the death sentence. Her virginity on her wedding night, she would get the death sentence too. It'd be things like that. It's like a lot of death sentences being handed out for things. So that's the common law that all you like to talk about so much. All right. What's the sense in all these gurus if outside is burning? I don't see nothing burning. It's burning in your world. It's not burning in mine. Life is good. I don't know what you're talking about outside is burning. Life is great. I don't have any problems. I don't see anything. I just got to walk this morning. It's beautiful here in Dallas. It's beautiful outside. See, a devil. See, that's what we call devils. A devil sees the negativity in everything. This is what a devilish person does. Oh, man, everything is just terrible. It's just horrible. Man, I'm hungry, man. Can we get something to eat? I'm hungry. A devil, that's what we call them black devils, if they're a black person. But a devil has they see the negativity in everything. They see the negativity in there. They don't see no positivity in nothing. This person just said, how's the sense in all these gurus if it's burning outside? Is it burning outside? I don't see it burning outside. Why do you think it's burning outside, Die Hard? With your little fake profile and shit. Why do you think it's burning? Why you think it's burning outside? I'll indulge you for a quick second. Why do you think it's burning outside? You come in here with this devilishment. Want to be negative. Anytime they bring in negativity, they a devil. Beautiful outside. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful life. Everything is great. Every time you talk to somebody, that should be your expression. No matter how bad thing is going. It's great outside. All right, so now that we got a spiritual understanding of what we are contending with, nature is beautiful, commerce is broken. Commerce is not broken. Let me tell y'all one of the first maxims that you should understand when you come into, and this is a maxim of law. I got to look it up and find it. Don't quote me on that. But one of the first things I learned was all inter-exchange between humans is commercial in nature. All commerce originally began with bartering. It began with bartering, and then it moved over into, we had a medium of exchange, and we called it money, but a medium of exchange is just what it says, is medium of exchange. All right, so all inter-exchange between humans is commercial in nature. We all need each other. We all need our labor or something for something. If I'm growing apples and you're growing oranges, we're going to get into a commercial transaction because I'm like, hey, look, man, I got a bushel of apples. Can you give me a bushel of oranges? He said, yeah, I can do that for you. All right. And then you take your oranges and you go over here to can I get a slab of beef? And I'll give you a bushel of orange. I'll give you 2 bushels of oranges or however many you want. So whatever you think is fair. Okay. It's called in exchange. All right. So I don't see a problem with business. It's like, it is like, what is my man name? Major, what is my man name? He was the consultant to Woodrow Wilson. He said, what he said was this. He said, those who understand the system are going to love it. Those who don't understand it are going to hate it. So when you see somebody that hates it, like Die Hard over here, he just don't fucking understand how it works. He don't know how the tax laws work. He don't know how business work. He don't have leadership skills to start a business or anything like that. He doesn't know. So he hates it because he doesn't understand it. He hates it. Yeah, Edward Mantelhouse. Thank you, Tom Yalla. Edward Mandelhouse. He said, those who understand it are going to love it. Those who don't understand it are going to hate it. You see the ones who understand it because they go on to become wealthy, and you're not wealthy. So now you start using the communist, Marxist, socialist attack of blaming wealthy people for your situation. That in some kind of way, for them to get wealthy, they had to oppress you when there's enough abundance in the universe for everybody on planet Earth to be a billionaire. Do you know that? You know there's enough money on planet Earth for everybody on here to be a billionaire? But you know what's happening right now? 85% of the wealth is in the hands of 15% of the people. Why is that? Why is that? Why is 85%? Come on, y'all black devils. Give me y'all, because the rich people are evil. The rich people are evil and oppressive. That make you happy, die hard. That make you happy. The rich, the schools don't show nothing, and everyone don't have good habits, and the wealth are in robbers' hand. Okay, hold on for a second. I got to touch on that. All right, you got public education. So the public means government, private means no government. All right, so over here you have public government schools. All right, now the public is primarily concerned with the national debt and taxes. They need employees who will pay 33% of their income to pay back the national debt. 100% of all taxes goes to pay the national debt. That's what Ronald Reagan, I forgot that study that Ronald Reagan found out. I think that's why he shot him, because he announced to the public that all those tax dollars that you're paying, 100% goes of it to pay the interest on the national debt. None of it is going to roads, schools, prisons, all that bullshit that y'all think taxes are going to pay. It does not pay none of that shit. I wish y'all would get that out of your mind. Only 51% of people in America actually even pay taxes. 85% of the tax load is already on wealthy people. And y'all keep screaming, well, tax the rich. And you ain't even paying no taxes. All right, so you got, in the public, they're going to educate you to get a job. They need you as an employee. The public is only concerned with employees. This is where business owners get their education. They get a private education, and in the public, y'all got degrees and things like this. All of that is set for you to get a job. The curriculum for all public schools, whether it's in college or high school, comes from the government. My aunt told me that directly. She's the vice regent of all the colleges in Georgia, at least she was. And we were sitting down talking one time, and she corresponds directly with the government. The curriculum for all the colleges and the high schools come from the government, because they're going to tell you what business needs. Like right now we got this AI, so they're going to be probably having AI courses in the colleges, because they need people going to come and work in corporate America that knows how to perform with AI or whatever like that. That's going to be a curriculum that's going to be offered. Over here, we're going to attend private seminars, and we're going to learn how to put a business together and utilize these people over here. Because that's what business owners do. They find all the parts and put it together and make it operate. That's a business owner. So the education over here is different than the education. I don't care what level. This is why when you meet somebody got a degree, sometimes they can be educated fools. Because they can't think outside the box because they've been taught. That's why when they lose a job, the only thing they know how to do is fill out a resume and go look for another job because they trapped in a box, in a mental box. These people over here are not trapped in a box because they are using their creativity. So they're not trapped. Okay, so I'm not here to bash anybody or anything like that. I just want to, if somebody said that somebody could get out of your mind, public school was never designed to teach people about business or anything like that. It's created to make taxpayers. They need taxpayers, all right? They need a tax base. They need workers and things like that. That's what that's for the working class, and this is the elite class over here. There's always two sides to everything in creation. There's two sides to everything, all right? You have an employer and an employee. It's two sides to everything. Somebody got to be the employee. Hopefully, every person that's on this live with me is striving to be on this side. Robert Kiyosaki came out with something real nice called the cash flow quadrant. Remember that? Cash flow quadrant. Cash flow quadrant, which is real good. Them 4 E's over here, you got employee, you got self-employed, you got business owner, and then you have an investor. And you got to go through all of these. You start as an employee, then you become self-employed, which is you just really still like an employee, you're just working for yourself. And then a business owner, where you come up with systems to employ other people. And then an investor, where you just sit on your ass and hand people money and you get a return on investment. This is where you want to end up, and this is where we're trying to guide everybody at SPC University to eventually get to this right here through utilizing a business trust and an unincorporated business organization, as some people like to affectionately call it. Now, how does this relate to? Now I'm gonna get back to the basic civics, because everything in status correction is dealing with business. Because if you didn't want to engage in business, there's no need to do status correction. How many people think that you can? How many people think that you can claim nationality? No, let me ask this question. How many people have read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? How many of you have actually, I've read it. How many of you actually read it? I'm talking to Moors right now. How many Moors have actually read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Let's read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship right now. I'm going to read this right now. Let's read it. Because they say that once you claim your nationality, okay, here it is. All right, they say once you claim your nationality, I'm not a Moor, so I don't really know what they're saying. There's nothing against them or nothing like that. But I have to tell the truth. Okay, Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Now, I was just watching where a judge was telling them more in court that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is a trade, a business treaty. A trade treaty. And when you read it, you can obviously see that when you read it. Now, I want somebody, if you got, go and get whoever your checks are or something, because I'm truly interested in knowing. I just want to know because maybe they can show me something that I might have missed. When I read this treaty of peace and friendship, all right, that they are basing, let's read this real quick. Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787, between Morocco and the United States. To all persons to whom the present shall come or be made known, whereas the United States of America and Congress assembled by their commission, bearing date the 12th day of May 1st, May 1784, thought proper to constitute John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson, their ministers plenipotentiary, given to them, or majority of them, full powers to confer, treat, and negotiate with the ambassador, minister, or commissioner of His Majesty, the Emperor of Morocco, concerning a treaty of amity. Amity is, well, I thought it would be comity, because enmity is hatred. But it's a treaty of amity. This is not hatred, though. This is not enmity, it's amity. I've never read this. Treaty of amity and commerce. What does the word amity mean? Notice it says commerce right here. Amity. Friendly relationships. All right, so all it means is friendly relationships and business. So this is a treaty of friendship and commerce. What it says right here. To make and receive propositions for such treaty, and to conclude and sign the same, transmitting to the United States and Congress assembled for their final ratification. And by one other commission bearing date the 11th day of March 1785, did further empower the said ministers plenipotentiary or majority of them by writing under the hands and seals to appoint such agent in the said business as they might think proper with authority under the directions and instruction of the said ministers to commence and prosecute the said negotiations and confer and conferences for the said treaty, provided that the said treaty should be signed by ministers. And whereas we, the said John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, two of the said ministers plenipotentiary, the said Benjamin Franklin being absent, Benjamin Franklin was hoeing in France because they loved him in France. He loved to hoe around in France. When they was doing that, Benjamin Franklin wasn't even here. He was hoeing around in France. By writing under the hand and seal of the said John Adams at London, October 5th, 1785, and of the said Thomas Jefferson at Paris, October the 11th of the same year, did appoint Thomas Barclay, agent in the business aforesaid, giving him the powers therein, which by the said second commission we were authorized to give, and the said Thomas Barclay, in pursuance thereof, arrange, that might be a typo, articles for a treaty of amity and commerce between the United States of America and His Majesty the Emperor of Morocco, and sealed with his royal seal, being translated into the languages of the said United States, together with the attestations thereto annexed, are in the following words to wit. Okay, so you got these articles. I'm not going to read this whole thing. We might have to do a class and read it. But I went through all these articles. Everything in here seems to be, like right here, Article 22. If an American citizen shall die in our country and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust until the party shall appear who has right to demand them. Okay, that's if somebody died. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place and equal justice shall be rendered. The consul attending at the trial, a consulate is there for the commercial matters of the citizen of their country. Look up the word consul, the consulate. How do I know this? I'm going to tell you how I know this. I'm going to give y'all some insight. I was, in jail and in the Fed down in Miami. I was in Miami pre-trial down in Miami. That's when I'm the one who told all y'all that the Miami courthouse is really a ship. If you ever see those pictures of it, because I was looking right down on it, they had the grass cut as water. The Miami courthouse, get in Google Images right now, put in Google Miami courthouse shaped like a ship in Admiralty jurisdiction. You can see pictures of it right now. Okay, so while I was there, an individual got arrested, and he had been, he was a foreigner. Because Miami get a lot of foreigners get locked up by the feds, locked up down in Miami. So He let me read his paperwork, and in his paperwork, every time a foreigner gets arrested by the feds, they give them ask them, do they want to inform the consulate? Okay, so I looked up consulate. Let's look up consulate real quick. What is a consulate? Let's go to the dictionary. Let's don't do that. You know, because these motherfuckers, they like to go and make up some shit or what something means. All right, so we're going to look up, let's get a Black's Law Dictionary. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it to you. All right, I'm going into a Black's Law 8th edition. There's nothing special about the 8th. I always use the 8th because when I started studying this, that's the dictionary that was out. And that's the dictionary I love because that's where I learned all this. But all the other ones are good too. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. It's just that, you know, I just started with a Black's 8th and I know how to navigate. I know how to navigate the other ones too. It's not bad. I don't know. It's just a habit of using the 8th edition. Don't ask me why I'm always using the 8th. There's no reason. It's just when I was looking up all these words, that's the dictionary I was using. All right. But if we go to consulate, and I want y'all to write this down because y'all might know someone who needs this information, all right, on what I'm about to say right now. Because all my job is to pass on to you everything I found out. Somebody can come behind me and find out some more or build on what I've already done. But I'm not claiming to know everything. I'm just being a reporter. I think that the creator of the balanced universe, when he had me arrested, he put me in that position because I saw a lot of things. I read a lot of people's paperwork. I discovered a lot of things. And I just think it was just, you know, I've been blessed. You know, I'm not wealthy or anything like that, but I've been taken care of. From the day that I stepped out of jail, I've had money in my pocket. Like the second day after I stepped out of jail, I haven't been broke since. And that was like 17, 18 years ago. And but I've noticed that it's only due to the fact that as long as I keep trying to spread truth and tell people the truth, at least what I know, because I don't know everything. Many men know many things. No man knows everything. However, I do know enough to understand when somebody's pushing some bullshit because it violates these principles I'm talking about. So if it's some bullshit, I'm gonna call it out. Because I don't have any time for that. I used to be more patient with that back in my blog talk days. I don't have time for it anymore because I see that it's getting, with the advent of the internet, it's just been a lot of bullshit that's been spread around. Before the internet, you didn't see all this bullshit. It wasn't all this bullshit being talked about. People were experimenting in court, trying to find out how to win criminal cases and get traffic tickets thrown out. So people were trying different things with that. But all this other stuff that people are talking, all this status correction. Status correction, I think polite is the person who coined that phrase. Because I've been around, we wasn't saying status correction. We wasn't saying shit like that. All right, so consulate. I think polite was the first person I heard saying status correction. All right, so consulate. So all right, so I'm in C's. TU consulate. Consular court. All right, right here. Consul. I say a consul. A government representative living in a foreign country to oversee commercial and other matters involving the representative's home country and its citizens in that foreign country. So they overlook commercial matters and other matters, as it says right here. But the first thing came out their mouth was commerce again. All right? Commercial matters. Now, I know that the jurisdiction that the United States is operating in is commercial in nature. They ask every foreigner that they arrest, why do they want to contact the consulate? If they ask them, what does that mean? They tell them to check no. Tell them stop checking no and start telling them people, if they're in jail and they get arrested and you're in another country and they ask you, do you want us to call the consulate? You always say yes. All right. the consulate. Okay? So, they oversee the matters in a foreign country. Now, they also do this. When you come into the country, they make you sign a, like if you get a visa or something like that, they make you sign, fill out a questionnaire. And on that questionnaire, it asks you, why are you in the country? How long you going to be here? How much money you got on you? What's the business you got going here? And so forth. Now, how do I know this? I saw people's paperwork. They come over here, they get arrested. The first thing that they have on the top of their discovery is that application that they filled out saying why they were here. Because that is a bond. It has an OMB number on it. Anytime you swear to something, a bond is a promise. Like, remember the old, y'all, some of y'all probably my age, we used to have a slang when I was growing up. We said, man, word is bond, man. Word is bond. Well, bond means promise. Okay? It's a promise. That's what the word means, promise. Forget the extended definition when we're talking about a commercial instrument. The fundamental definition of bond is promise. It's a promise. All right? So, it has an OMB number on it, and everything is about bonding. When you give your word on something, that is your bond. And when you break your word, they're going to cash the bond in. Because your bond is also insurance. You have to be insured when you come over here. They got something called an immigration bond. Like I'm watching all of the people on TikTok having arguments about illegal aliens. But you got to get due process. The only due process you get as an illegal alien is the opportunity to prove that you're an American citizen. If you can't do that, you got to leave. That's the only due process. What other due process you need? If you don't got a birth certificate or a social security card, what are we talking about? So, and passport is a bond, because that's why they make you give your birth certificate and all of that, because they have to bond you. Your passport is a bond when you go into other commercial districts. In case you violate something over there, you bond it. They have something called an immigration bond. It comes from what's something called the doctrine of the public charge doctrine. What is the public charge doctrine? Let's look at this real quick. So people want to talk about immigrants. You need to understand this real quick. It's called public charge doctrine. What is the public charge doctrine? Public charge doctrine. This deals with immigration. The public charge doctrine in U.S. immigration law is a principle. This is the principle that governs immigration. So when y'all go on these TikToks and you listen to all these fools on TikTok having these discussions talking about the rights of immigrants, ask them, do they know the principle behind it? They don't care. They don't think it's somebody. I don't need to know that. You know, when you're talking to an ignorant person, you know, they're going to throw them pearls. They're going to trample them under their feet and turn and rend you to pieces. So if you're going to talk about immigration, the underlying principle of immigration is the public charge doctrine. Well, what is it? Meaning reliant on government support. So that means that you're relying on the government. In other words, why would we let people from another country come into our country and get on welfare or get on government support, which is exactly what's happening right now? They letting 16 million, they just totally violating, the Biden administration and the Democrats totally violated this principle. All right. The reason that you have to go through a process to come into the country is like, are you a valuable asset to this country? Are you coming in here to be a productive citizen? Or are you coming in here to rob and steal? Are you coming in here to be homeless? Are you coming in here to get on welfare? Because if you're coming in here to do any of those things, we don't need you. And we're not going to let you in. Let's read about it a little bit. This public charge doctrine. I want y'all to spread this over the internet now. So, The public charge doctrine in U.S. immigration law is a principle that states an individual is likely to become a public charge, meaning relying on government support, if they are deemed likely to become primarily dependent on the government for subsistence. This can result in the denial of visas or permanent residency. According to the Immigration Legal Resource Center, the public charge rule has been a part of immigration policy since the Immigration Act of 1882. Now, let's read this right here. I got a little history I want to share with you too on this. That was very, very interesting. I want y'all to listen to this too. For all the people making them immigration arguments for illegal aliens. I mean, people so ignorant. They come in, they're arresting U.S. citizens and sending them back to their own country. Democrats are. I don't understand y'all. All right. Right now, what is public charge doctrine? A public charge is someone who cannot provide for himself and thus relies on public assistance for a substantial part of his livelihood. That is most of the people. That's anybody who's a part of the welfare state. That is what originally happened in 1933. They made people public charges, meaning that you can't provide for yourself. And that's where the doctrine of parens patria came in. You can't provide for yourself, so you need the government to provide for you. You need the government to provide you health care. You need the government to provide you education. You need the government to provide you things. The United States of America was not set up to give anybody any type of public assistance. It's not in the Constitution. They don't have to do it. It's not a right. It is a benefit and a privilege for you to receive welfare. All right. So we know a public charge is someone who can't take care of themselves. Individuals who are deemed to likely to become charges of the public are excluded from entering the United States. If an immigrant becomes a public charge, he may be deported. If you commit a crime, you're a public charge. If you get on welfare and you're an immigrant, you're a public charge. If you become homeless and want to walk the streets, you're a public charge. If you get involved in any crime, you're a public charge. So, let's keep going. With the rise of the welfare state in the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 1933, it's amazing. With the rise of the welfare state in the United States, since the progressive era, public assistance has increasingly come through the civil government. However, public aid historically had a heavy private sector, voluntary, charitable aspect. Public assistance used to come from private money. The policy of excluding potential public charges seeks to ensure that individuals unable or unwilling to sustain themselves not burden society. It embodies the idea that an immigrant should be self-sufficient and contribute to society, granting him the privilege of becoming a new member. It is one of the conditions of the social contract. Immigration policy relates to the choosing among foreigners those whom a country will accept. Designating public charges as excludable rests within the rights of a sovereign nation to decide on those to whom to grant admission or the right to remain. The chief goal of American immigration policy has always been to admit productive, self-reliant individuals who positively contribute to society. Been since 1882. I was just listening to a black woman on another TikTok talking about, y'all don't know, what are you talking about? I mean, no, you don't know. You're the one that's ignorant because you're on here giving your opinion and you haven't read shit. You haven't read anything in immigration policy. There's not a single person on here probably that even know what the public charge doctrine was. I want you to get in your Google right now, and I want you to Google immigration bond. Immigration bond. Yeah, every country that's a communist country. So does every other country have a welfare? Welfare is communism. It's every socialist country. What do you mean does any other country have welfare? Welfare is just Welfare is just another name for socialism. That's all it is. Just another name for socialism. The government takes care of everything. So I want you to look up immigration. Bond. ICE Form I-352. I want you to pull that up and look at it. Now, why did they post a bond? They posted a bond because I think there was a point in history. Remember when they dumped a lot of empty day prisons out in England and sent them all over here into America? And they ended up in Georgia. That's when Georgia was a penal colony and all of that. Well, they had to bond all of those individuals against a public charge. You prevent becoming a public charge by taking care of yourself. You prevent becoming a public charge by stop eating motherfucking McDonald's and all of that shit, processed food. You prevent being a public charge by educating yourself, becoming an expert in some industry, getting yourself a trade or something and becoming a productive member of society. You prevent yourself from becoming a public charge by studying the law of attraction and understanding how to think positively and eschew any type of negativity from entering into your life. This is how you stop becoming a public charge. So if you're looking at this bond is posted as security for performance and fulfillment of the bonded alien's obligations to the government. Are you reading that? I don't know why TikTok always had this stuff on here. All right. Are y'all reading this immigration bond? Okay. All of this is having to do with business. An immigrant doesn't have a social security number. If they were trying to give them social security numbers, but the thing about it is they need a birth certificate because the birth certificates are used to borrow money, and then that money is put into circulation. It's just like the game of Monopoly. The game of Monopoly was mirroring the game of life. To start the game of Monopoly, all the players have to start out with $1,500. All right. Now, what if somebody comes and plays the game of Monopoly? There's 4 players. 3 of them have $1,500, and then one doesn't have any money, and he starts rolling the dice, going around the board, and he's getting money and collecting money from other individuals, but the other individuals on the board don't have anything to collect from him. So, because he don't have any skin in the game. So essentially, immigrants don't have any skin in the game. They don't have a social security number with a Federal Reserve account number that they borrowed from, making them a surety for the repayment of the national debt. They're straw man. This is about business, is my point. Everything that I'm discussing is about business, commerce. I'm just trying to get that impressed on people's minds because I understand how y'all thinking, because I used to think like that too. What I used to do is I used to like, okay, I'm gonna become a secure party and nobody can't touch me. That was my first thinking. Okay, so I got out of jail, right? After fighting for 31 months. I get out, and next thing you know, I'm thinking I'm invincible. I just been beat these people off of me, and now I can do anything. First thing I started doing was trying to buy a car. Trying to buy cars and shit, and do shit like that. Because when I was in jail, dudes was telling me, oh man, dudes is getting out of jail, getting yachts. Dudes is getting out of jail, getting Ferraris and shit like that. This is what they telling me now. So I'm like, oh shit, really? They doing this? So I said, okay. I said, now there is some truth to it. I'm not going to lie. There is some truth to it. Okay. However, what they don't tell you is how hard that shit is to do. You may have to go to 100 dealerships to get some shit off. Okay. Before you finally figure out if you want to go through all of that. We were getting up every day. First thing we discovered is okay, only foreign car manufacturers will understand the process because they are the ones that deal in international commerce, so they understand what a bill of exchange is. Because bills of exchange are used in international commerce for them shipping products over into the United States. In the United States, they didn't understand. Like you go to Ford, Chevy, and shit like that, they wouldn't necessarily understand it. So my thinking, I'm just giving y'all a story right now. I said, well, if I'm going to get a free car, I might as well get something expensive because the more expensive the car is, the more likely they are to understand what we're doing, which I did find out to be true. So I went to Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, BMW, and the only kind of car that I was trying to get was anything over $150,000. Because I'm like, if I'm going to get the motherfucking car, well, I'm going to get some cheap shit. I might as well, if I'm using this process to get a car, why am I trying to get some cheap shit? I'm going in, I'm getting me a purchase order agreement, and I'm loading that bitch up. I said, okay, put top rims on it, top stereo system, top leather package, all the custom rims. Can I order some rims? I was asking motherfuckers, can I order some rims and have the motherfuckers delivered and put on? I was doing shit like that. So I'm doing all of that, right? Now, I was fortunate enough to make friends with the owner of a Mercedes-Benz dealership. And he told me the truth. He told me, he said, look, he said, the dealership on the lot are in trust. Okay. They make their money off servicing the cars. They don't make their money off selling the cars. They make their money off servicing the cars. This is also why to get a dealership, you have to go through a, he was telling me, to get a car dealership, like a Mercedes-Benz dealership or something like that, you got to be a part of a club. Kind of almost like getting a sports franchise. Just any and everybody can't have a sports franchise, and any and everybody can't have a Mercedes-Benz dealership. There is a group of them collectively. All right. So he also said that if he were to do that, that he would get in trouble with his group. But he did tell me, he said I was a genius, and he said you're absolutely correct. And he also explained to me, he said this is the worst sales we've had since 1930s. He was telling me about the car industry, how car sales have slowed down so much. And he really wanted to give me the car. That's the owner. I'm talking to the owner. And I was able to meet the owner, a friend of mine who knew this information too. Bob, if you're out there, what's up, bro? I appreciate that. I ain't spoke to you in a while, but if you happen to be watching me, what's up, bro? He was friends with him. He played golf with him. And I went up there and tried to get a Mercedes-Benz, and they told me, well, we can't take this instrument. I said, well, send my instrument back. And they said, okay. And they hung up the phone, never sent me my instrument back. So I told this friend of mine what had happened. He said, I know the owner of that dealership. I'll get you a meeting with him. So when I went up there to meet him, he told me straight up that he didn't have to give me my instrument back. This is when I learned about UCC 3-305 and 306 and UCC 3-302. What is a holder in due course? This is when I got my education. Like many of you, you want to play the negotiable instruments game, but you don't want to read the instructions to the negotiable instrument game. You want to draw up a promissory note and tender it to somebody to buy something or to set off some debt, and you don't know how the game operates. What are the rules to the game when it is with a negotiable instrument? The first thing in a negotiable instrument you have to establish is that you're the holder in due course. That's UCC 3-302. When you read UCC 3-302, it's going to reference UCC 3-305, which is claims and recoupment, and UCC 3-306, which is claims to an instrument. In other words, you have to demonstrate that you have a claim on the instrument. You just can't put it out there. Whenever you issue a negotiable instrument, it don't have to be given back to you. Just like a Federal Reserve note. A Federal Reserve note is a negotiable instrument. If you find it on the ground, it's yours. It's yours. Doesn't matter whose signature is on it. It's a signature on a Federal Reserve note. You put your signature on it, it's going to be about 50 other signatures behind that will record the chain of possession of that particular instrument. Everybody who gets in it endorses it. This is why if you want, let me give you a hint. You take your negotiable instrument, and on the back, on the bottom right-hand corner, you put a postage stamp and you sign through it. That right there is you have the last signature on it, unless they try to put some sort of a allonge on it, but I don't think they will. Once you sign it, you sign the bottom right-hand part of that instrument, meaning that you have the last say on that instrument. On the back, bottom right-hand side, put a postage stamp, 2-cent stamp, and sign through it. Cancel the stamp with your signature. That's saying that you have the last word on that negotiable instrument. Because those instruments, they get passed around on the instrument. This is UCC 3-306. Well, Yusef, how do you have a claim on the instrument? You have a claim on the instrument by putting it on a UCC 1 or UCC 3 to who needs to have a copy of it. Filing a UCC 1 doesn't give notice. You have to file a notice and send a copy to the person who needs the notice. Filing a UCC 1 does not constitute notice unless you mailed a copy of the notice to the individual who need to have copies of it. Where did I get that? Right out of the UCC manual book. It's right there in the UCC, I think, under Hold in Due Course. All right, so everything, okay, now why is everything about commerce? Everything is about commerce because there's no money. Let me try to explain this to you again. What do I mean by no money? Because we got a lot of ignorant people. When they hear when you say there ain't no money. Well, Yusef, since there ain't no money, can I pay for your SPC University with a bill of exchange? This funny motherfucker, you know. I mean, this smart guy. You know, it's always going to be one. It's going to be one. All right. Smart guy. All right. So, when we say there's no money, all we're saying is there's no constitutional gold and silver being used because gold and silver is the only thing that is real money. It always has been and always will be. Kings wanted gold and silver. The Egyptians wanted gold. Okay, every king wanted gold. All right, why the thing is gold and silver? Even my man, the banker, he said the same thing. He said money is gold and silver. Everything else is credit. J.P. Morgan. Google it. J.P. Morgan, money is gold and silver. Everything else is credit. And when you get the affidavit of Walker Todd, who was the expert witness in the case up in Minnesota, who was the top man at the Federal Reserve, he says the same thing. He said money is gold and silver or certificates that are redeemable in gold and silver. That's all money is. So when I say there's no money, okay, all you people out there, can you please just educate them? What I'm saying is there's no constitutional gold and silver in circulation that is being used to facilitate commercial transactions. All right, this is what ACR 192 of June 5th, 1933, codified in Title 315118, the rescission of the gold clause, accomplished. They stole they told you to turn in your gold and then passed the law, said you can't get it back. Now, for them to get away with that, they had to give you an equitable remedy. Because what is equity? Fairness, impartiality, and even-handed dealing. It's only fair for the government, if they take my gold and silver, okay, to pay the bill when the bill becomes due. Because I can't pay the bill because I gave all the money to you. So your response, doesn't that make sense? Who does not make sense? Do we have any attorneys on here? I want to talk to an attorney, a judge, if you're watching me, an attorney, a business professional. Let's use common sense. If the government had everybody turn in their gold and silver, what did we use as money after we gave all the government our gold and silver? What were we using? Governor of DeSantis down in Florida is trying to pass a law, so gold transactions, which I think is great. I think that is great. I think Ron DeSantis did I don't know. I don't think he's gonna get away with it though. He's going against some very powerful people in the world, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Let me tell you, the last person who tried that was Ross Perot. Ross Perot down in Texas. Okay, that's what happened to them. They were trying to get silver-backed money and corner the silver market, and you don't hear nothing about Ross Perot anymore. Remember he's running for president and all of that? I didn't have class this week because I'm working customer service, getting everybody accounts fixed right now. We are working on your account. Please don't ask me about accounts. I hired people to come in, but I will tell you this. If you want your account on fastest way, just get you a new account. We'll cancel the old account and refund your money on the old account. Easiest thing for you to do. All right? And just hit me up with that. If you want to hit me up, only hit me up and say, I got a new account. Can you just cancel my old account and refund my money that I had to pay for my last subscription? I have no problem doing that. That's the fastest way. Just do it like that. Because this website is a different website. It's not a WordPress website anymore. It's a totally different. It looks like it. My landing page is WordPress. But when you log in, you're logging in to a totally different system. And I was trying to migrate people over, and it didn't work with WordPress too well. So, trust me, this is that period of business where I'm catching hell, and I got to make it through this storm. I'm in a storm right now, so I'm trying to get through this. All right, but back to my story. Everything is fiat. Everything is cryptocurrency is fiat for real. What are you talking? The only thing that's money is gold and silver. You have money of exchange and money of account. So now, because of that, listen. Because there's no gold and silver being used in commerce, only debt is being used as money. Now, this is what you got to pay attention. This is why I'm telling you all these other processes don't mean anything. They never have. Because I've read all of this. I understand the history of it, what happened. I don't understand how people don't see it, how you would think that money is not the root of everything on planet Earth. Money is everything. It's the key to everything on Earth. So the reason, that I chose secure party, and I am saying that all the other processes are bullshit, is because, number one, there isn't any money. So these attacks that you're looking at, what do I mean by attack? You get in a traffic ticket. You get in a commercial charge like a possession with the intent to distribute or something like that. These are attacks, and these attacks are so that they can get money from you. A charge is a lien on property. It's called a charge on property. Let's look at it real quick. When you get a Black's Law Dictionary and we look up the word charge, which I already got the C open, and we go to the word charge. Charge. Okay, here it is right here. Okay, charge. What is a charge? There are 7 different meanings to the word charge. 7. Now, which meaning do you think is applying? The first meaning of the word usually is the general definition of the word. And then they have what is called, following that, narrow senses of the word. So, of course, a charge, a formal accusation of an offense as a preliminary step to a prosecution, like a murder charge. Here's the second meaning of the word charge. An instruction or command, like a mother's charge to her son. If any of you are kind of got a good vocabulary, you've heard the word charge used in that sense before. A jury charge. Review the charge for appealable error. That's the third meaning. The fourth meaning, an assigned duty or task, a responsibility, like you've been charged with the duty of teaching the public. Yusef El, God has charged you with the duty of going out and teaching the people. All right? And then we got the fifth sense of the word, an encumbrance, lien, or claim. A charge on property. So a charge could be a lien. So when I found that out, I just so happened to be in Georgia and I was studying OCGA 1711.1. Imposition of cost. Now, you got to understand what this word cost, C-O-S-T-S, because when you go into court, you need to find that out. Your Honor, I request the Honorable Judge direct the prosecutor to provide the assessment for the charges along with a certified audit trail of all transactions, including voucher, as well as all disbursement documents and receipts as it relates to the proffering the evidence and make it part of the record, John, for the record. There is a numerical value attached to every charge. You have to understand this. All the statutes are cross-indexed with values. This is why you'll read something that say, well, you do 5 years or $500,000 fine or both or something like that. There's a value attached to the statutes. Okay. If you're on supervised release and you got to pay money back, okay, that's a lien. That's a lien on property. Okay. So it says the cost of a prosecution, except the fees of his own witness, should not be demanded of a defendant until after trial and conviction. If convicted, judgment may be entered against the defendant for all cost accruing in the committing and trial courts and by any officer pending the prosecution. The judgment shall be a lien from the date of his arrest on all the property of the defendant. Okay, well, what is it that y'all, okay, they're going to if you found guilty, they put a lien on your property. Now, here's my next question to you. How is the government going to find property of yours to lien? What tool are they going to use to lien? This is for every single person that gets convicted in a criminal action. They're going to put a lien against you. Somebody tell me this. You know, I don't have to repeat it. You can pull up OCGA 1711.1 and read it for yourself. What vehicle are they using? They only got your social security number. How are they going to find your property? Every time, the government can only find your property if it's connected to a social security number. So they put in a lien against the because the number is the source. If you work a job, your income comes through what? That number. If you want to borrow some money from the government, they can check that number. All right. So, right here, you can see that the reason we're doing a secure party process is we're trying to put a lien against the number before they do. That's called asset protection. Now, anyone who understands commerce, or let's say we got some real estate professionals on here, who understands a first and second mortgage? Is there anyone? Type yes in the comment section if you understand the difference between a first and second mortgage on a home. Okay, the first mortgage, okay, has what is called a priority perfected interest in property. Perfected means that they took the necessary steps to place a lien against the property to ensure that they are a secured party creditor. And yes, I said secured party creditor because it's some idiots out there that'll say there's no such thing as a secured party creditor. The secured party is always the creditor. That's why it's called secured party / creditor. That's how it's always been. You're secure because if I loan you some money, and how I secure the return of my money is by putting a lien on your property. Now I'm secure. I'm the party in the transaction that is secure, and I happen to be the creditor because you're the debtor. Everybody understand that? All right? So, In a situation with a mortgage, there's a first and second mortgage. There's a first lien position and a second lien position. The first lien position, if there is a foreclosure, they get the property, and when they sell it, they're going to get every dime that's owed to them. The second lien position gets what's left. So, the reason that you have a birth certificate bond for $100 million, some of y'all probably looking at it and thinking, that's ridiculous, making a bond for $100 million. Trust me, they do that every day. Behind the scenes, this bond's bigger than that. I'm talking about legitimately, $1 trillion bonds, all kind of stuff. You wouldn't, if you was really involved in that, you would look at this process more seriously. Like, God damn, they really are passing around bonds behind the scenes. Yes, they are. All right. Your bond is legitimate. So the first thing I got to get in your mind is that bond that you draw up on your computer is legitimate. It's a legitimate, negotiable instrument that has value. We got to get that in your mind first. All right. So if you put $100 million, why am I putting $100 million on a birth certificate bond? The reason why is I got to make the number high enough to deter people in the public from trying to access my estate. In other words, if they want to access my estate, they got to give me $100 million first, and then they can do whatever they want to do. But more times than not, their claim does not supersede $100 million. I already have a $100 million claim against my straw man estate. Now you're coming and trying to put a claim against it, and I'm first in line, first in time. I'm in line first. I'm going to get the money first. Now, what I have agreed to do, since I'm a private American citizen, you are my irresponsible public servants who have gotten yourself into trouble with $36 trillion worth of debt. You have no basis to call, you don't have any reason to say anybody in America is irresponsible. All right, until you get rid of that $36 trillion in debt, you don't need to say anything. Oh, dang, what happened, man? Where is it? Okay, there it is, right there. Sorry about that. You don't need to say anything. All right, so let me get back. I lost my train of thought. Okay. What the public is doing is that they are putting charges, commercial charges, against your estate in order to create money. This is why they call a court a bank, because banks create money through creating debt. Traditional banks primarily do it through making loans. Courts do it through charges, putting liens against your estate. And then they put that in what is called a municipal fund. Anybody remember when we used to go to Fidelity Mutual, and you could put your case number in Fidelity Mutual and look it up and find out what fund that was being traded in, because your case number on the caption of your pleading is a CUSIP number. It's attached to a CUSIP number, shall I say. Now, somebody revealed that information. There is a document. There's a document circulating the internet with somebody put out into the public some behind the scenes court paperwork showing on minor court cases how all of them have CUSIP numbers attached to them, and they're making money off all of them. They're making money on all of them. All right. So this is why you're doing a secure party process. It's all business. You're doing what's called an asset protection strategy by encumbering all your personal estate to prevent it from being attacked by people in the public who are attempting to create money by putting debt on you. However, you're honoring your claim by saying, look, you don't have to put a lien against my estate. I'm more than happy to issue you a negotiable instrument that you can do an accounting procedure and put on your books, because it ain't no money. This is money of account. So all you need to do is go through your accounting to your books that you have and set off the account. They don't want to do that because they want to put people in slavery and get money the traditional way. This is when you start to expose them for the lying pieces of shit that they are. This is why people get mad and do like terrorist activities like Timothy McVeigh and things like that. They get upset because when they find out the truth and they try to be honorable, and you go to you public servants, because I know some of you are watching, and you can't refute anything I'm saying. Nothing. All right. And when somebody comes to you and say, say like, look, man, I'd be more than happy to honor your claim. Here's a negotiable instrument, and I want you to set off the debt. And they don't want to do it. Okay. Next, they'll tell you that this is all fanciful. This is fantasy. This is some sovereign citizen bullshit and shit like that. I know some of you are watching that. You're idiots too. You're not educated. You're just like the liberals and the people over there. You don't read nothing. You don't know nothing. You're just talking. You don't know what you're talking about. All right. Should be a lot of things I'm saying should be common sense. It should appeal to your common sense. Y'all deal with corporate entities every day. A corporation is a legal fiction. Why is it such a far stretch for a straw man to exist when y'all deal with corporations every day? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. That's something that's always bothered me. The banking credits are the set-offs once the debt has been established. But once the debt has been established, it's contractual in nature, and they didn't loan you anything, obviously. But what they did was they got you to sign a contract. See, like in a mortgage situation, when you give them the promissory note paid for the house. But what they do is they get you also a mortgage, which means dead hand, and they get you to sign that promising to pay or some type of performance for 30 years. That's what they get you with. And then when you get the promissory note, you can see that they put paid to the order on the back of it and make a deposit with it because they can treat it as either or. And they may put a deposit on it and then they take it and trade it for Federal Reserve notes. They money changers. They're just changing the money from one form to another. They're just changing it from the paper promissory note that you sign at the closing table to a Federal Reserve promissory note. It's just money changers. They just say, hey, look, this person is willing to pay for 30 years, which is 3 houses. This dumb motherfucker is going to pay for 3 houses over 30 years. Do you want this debt? How much is it? The house is $500,000. They are paying 7% interest for 30 years. So they're going to end up paying you probably about $100,000 or how much money? Y'all care? How much is $500,000 at 7% interest over 30 years? Anybody know how to calculate that? Tell me how much you end up paying. Somebody do that for me right now, because I'm not good at math. How much? Let's do a mortgage calculator. I want to impress this on y'all minds so y'all understand. Mortgage calculator. Estimate your mortgage payment. Let's have a 500. Anybody know how much 1.5 million? If my calculation is correct, 1.5 million. Yes, 3 houses, right? So I want y'all to check this out. So if you go and get a mortgage for a $500,000 home at 7% interest, you're going to end up paying $1,550,000 in, a lot of y'all got different things. But you see it's more than the $500,000. Okay, now, I'm going to go with the 1.5 million. If somebody come to me and they say, Yusef, I got this guy. He just bought a house from my financial institution. He just signed a note for $500,000 at 7% interest. He going to make about $3,000 a month payments for 30 years. I want to sell you this debt. How much you selling it for? I'm going to discount it for you, man. The face of this note is $500,000. Give me $350,000 in Federal Reserve notes and you can have it. I'm going to get how much in 30 years? He's going to end up paying you $1.5 million in 30 years. You're going to get 3 times your money back in about 30 years. And you got $3,000 a month coming in your account every month for the next 30 years. All you got to do is give me $350,000 and you can collect the $1.5 million over the next 30 years. Anybody that'll take that deal? Is there anybody on here that'll take that deal? Where are my investors at? Is there anyone on here? If you will take that deal, say yes. If not, no, put it in the chat. If somebody come to you and say, look, Yusef, I own a bank. I just got this guy walked in. He got a mortgage with my bank for $500,000 at 7% interest for 30-year loan, for 30-year term. I need an influx of cash, brother. I'm going to sell you this loan, man. I'm going to discount it for you. I'm going to knock off $150,000. Give me $350,000 in Federal Reserve notes. You take it. Who's taking it? Okay, okay, so since you understand that, why y'all don't understand why everybody was trying to create debt? Everybody on planet Earth is trying to create debt. That's what everybody's doing. It's called put in your Google discount note market. Discount note. That's a real estate investment term. Discount note. Discount note overview. Calculation pro. A discount note is a short-term debt obligation issued at a discount to par. Discount notes are similar to zero coupon bonds and treasury bills and are typically issued by government-sponsored agents. No, they're not. Everybody, you got real estate investors. Let me do real estate discount notes. Maybe that's what it is. Real estate investing. Real estate. That's a government discount note. Now, the discount compensates the note buyer for risk like potential borrower default, unexpected property issues, and market fluctuations. Got that right off Google. Okay, so this is why everybody wants paper. They want to get you in a contract that says you owe them some money. The government does it, and what they do is they arrest you and put a lien on you, then hold you in jail and make you go to work and pay you back your debt to society. You got to go get a job in jail. Everybody's after labor is the only thing that has value. So everybody is after people's labor by getting them to sign a contract where they will work off an obligation for a number of years, whether it be an automobile for 7 years, whether it be, paying for your burglar alarm for 2 years. You sign a contract, 2-year contract. Whether it's T-Mobile, you sign a 2-year contract with them. That contract is worth money. When T-Mobile get that contract, you say, okay, well, you got this new phone and your contract is $150 a month for the next 2 years. They're going to sell that and discount it. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. So you're protecting yourself from that by encumbering your property so they can't put a lien on it and create negotiable paper. This is why they don't like it. Does everybody understand that? Everybody understand that? Everybody in society is doing it. They make you create money by, y'all call it fiat, money by decree or whatever, but everybody create money. Now you can get the Financial Accounting Standards Guide, statement number 95 under financial institutions on page 21 and let the accounting people of the country tell you exactly what I just said. If you need me a reference from FASB 95, the Financial Accounting Standards Board Statement 95, the people who over GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. All right? Once you understand that, now you understand why you do the secured party process. A lot of people, you're against it because you don't understand why you're doing it and you don't know what it is. That's why you never see me change. I listen to these other dudes. I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. All this shit is business. This is about liens, money creation, debt. It's what everything is about. Everything is, there ain't no money. Everybody has to make money. Banks put money in circulation by making loans. That's why every time you look around, there's somebody trying to give you a loan. Somebody trying to give you a credit card. If you got good credit, them damn credit card applications are coming in. Because when you sign it, now they got a contractual agreement on you that they can sell. They can bundle and discount and sell. They take when the bank sells mortgages, they sell a whole bundle. When the bank sells it, that's why you may be getting a letter from Chase. And then the next thing you know, you're getting something from Bank of America because they sold your loan to someone else. And now they're just servicing the loan, which means all they're doing is collecting the money. All they're doing, they sell it to a trust on Wall Street. Okay. And it's called Wall Street because on one side of the wall, people are receiving money. And on the other side of the wall, people are paying money. And so they sell it to a trust on Wall Street in bundles. Okay. So they'll take, like when a bank needs an influx of cash, an infusion of cash, they'll take some of their toxic loans and sell it to somebody else at a discount and get it off their books and get it on that person's books. I hope I'm explaining this in a simple term that's easy to understand. Because when you have people come in and they start talking about this is bullshit, I can only assume that these people are not very good businessmen and women and they don't understand what the fuck is going on. How is claiming nationality going to affect any of this? Somebody explain that to me. How is writing the Pope over in saying, that or whatever the fuck they do. I don't understand that process at all. Because the way I come on every day and call myself a god, I just don't understand when people say, well, the Pope owns us or Queen Elizabeth owns us. Or I just like, what the fuck is they talking about? Is that what's really in your mind? You really believe that? You believe somebody owns you? You cannot, why would you want to associate with people like that? Why would you want to associate with slaves? Well, we really, we got to do, we was lost at sea, we was dead at sea. The Necessity Vi Act of 1666. We need to claim our state and come back and say that we alive and claim our states. You know where that came from? That came from, there is a legal term called lost at sea. Let's look at it real quick. DTC access and things like that. Motherfucker, you don't even know the difference between public and private. Why am I going to talk about all that shit? I'm trying to get you some I'm trying to stamp out this bullshit and get people on some fundamental information so they can start doing all that stuff right there. But you don't even got this right here down. I can talk about this shit for free. Since people like free shit, this is like if you can I come in the public and talk about this because I need you to know this before you even come over to SPC University. And people talk about Admiralty. How many of you have studied Admiralty Maritime Law? I have. I've read all the clerk's practices by John Hall, all 3 sections. Took me 6 weeks to go through it. Looked up every single word in it. How many of you have studied Admiralty? See, when you study Admiralty, okay, then you go and read a statute, you'll know what you're looking at. You'll say, damn, this is Admiralty. They just don't call it that. I just got through reading an Admiralty book, And now I'm looking at this statute, Title 18 in Georgia, and it reads just like this damn admiralty book over here. But they're not calling it admiralty. They're calling it creditor and debtor law. But they're not calling it admiralty. Why is that, Yusef? Well, if you had looked at a Howard Freeman on the UCC connection, that I tell everybody, that should be fundamental. Anybody coming in here is supposed to read that. I did a video to it on my YouTube. If you can't read, you can listen to it. I read, it's called the UCC connection. Just put in Yusef El. Everybody should be listening. If you're involved in this, you should be required. Because he explains why they will not tell you the truth. He spoke to a judge. No, banks don't turn you into the devil. Let me say this. Here's the game they play. The all caps name is what they're making claims against. The debtor is the all caps name. It's never you. You just think it's you because you've amalgamated yourself to this corporate created entity. Really, status correction is all about changing your thinking. You got to start. This is why sovereignty is about how you think. It's not about paper. It's how you think. Like earlier, a person who was talking about the Pope owns them. I can't affiliate. You're not a sovereign. I wouldn't, nothing like that would ever come out of my mouth. I can't be affiliated with that group of people. They got their own processes that they're using, but I can't be affiliated with that because of the mindset. Y'all have the mindset of slaves. I don't have the mind. I understand that we sovereigns, that we only answerable to the creator of the balanced universe. That's sovereignty. You only answer to God. And you respect your fellow man. That's what it is. I'm not, I don't understand some of the things they say, but it's commerce. They talking about we paying taxes and everything. A tax. All this is about taxes. It's all a tax. When Gene Keating said that, when he had a video come out, and man, it was so good. They took it off the internet, and you can't find it nowhere on the internet right now. It's all a tax. Put that in Google, see if you can come up. Gene Keating is all a tax. Let me see, did somebody post it back on the internet? Did somebody post this shit back on? Nope, got taken down. 2 unavailable videos are hidden. Gene Keating is all a tax. It's on the internet, but somebody got the motherfuckers hidden. Damn. Let me see if it's down. Gene Keating discusses tax law, commercial law, and more. Well, Gene Keating came out with a video. It used to be on YouTube. It's called It's All a Tax. It was one of his best videos that he did. So he's talking about doing the tax forms. Y'all like talking about 1099-A, 1099-OID. That you have to, put the tax forms on them to get rid of the case because everything is dealing with taxes. And I'm not a tax professional. Don't claim to be, don't have any desire to be. I know a little bit about taxes, but I'm a true businessman in that I lean on my CPA a little bit more and allow the professionals who are licensed in the public to do taxes. I have a real close guy. For some of y'all know what I'm talking about because I let him teach class and do some things sometimes on taxes. I'm probably going to have him teach another class on taxes. But I'm always talking to him. He's always confiding me. He was with Price Waterhouse and a lot of AIG Group and a lot of people like that. And he's like a 5-star CPA, like top level CPA. And, we get into discussions and things, and he just lets, everything is about taxes. Everything in the public is about taxes. Taxes pay for government services, benefits, and privileges. That's what taxes are for. All right. So they are trying, everything is a tax. Now let's look at the definition of tax because it does not mean what you think it means. Let's look at it real quick. We got to look up the definition of words. And you should always start with the words you think you know the meaning of. If you are a true student, oh, I think I know what a charge is. Do you? I know what a tax is. Do you? I know what a private trust and equity is. Well, if you know what a private trust and equity is, why do you have to use the word equity? Because a trust is a right solely enforceable in equity. So just by using the word trust, you're automatically invoking equity because that's the only thing that can take cognizance or jurisdiction over a trust is an equity court. So what's the need of this equity trust? Y'all say that y'all make up words. Just make up words. Just make this shit up that don't be making no sense. All right. Did he look up the definition of trust? Let's look up the definition of tax. When I was looking up these words, these are the first set of words I looked up when I was in jail. I looked up the word tax. I looked up the word trust. I looked up the word public and private. I looked up all those words because I knew that I think I know what they're talking about, but do I really? See, you have a lot of gurus out there that think they know what the word means, but they never took the energy to stop and look the motherfucker up. Not even in Google. How do I know? Look at all the people using SPC Trust. I know y'all hearing them say it. Look at all the people use that word. You know, they're trying to get some money out of my SPC Trust account. Like, what? Do you know what that word means? You know you're not using the word in its proper context. Do you understand that? Just because you hear the word trust on it doesn't mean it's a kind of a trust. It is a beneficiary. It's a synonym for beneficiary. That's all. You can read some case law today. Go over to Google Scholar right now. Put in private trust, and you can probably read a few cases, and you will see the judges using that word. They'll say, the SPC Trust has a right to receive a distribution from the Central Estate Trust account. See, there's somebody talking about that SPC Vi Act of 1666. Okay, let me tell you when they came out with that. They came out with that, I say, around 2012, 2013, right? They say you lost at sea. Let's look at tax first, and then we'll talk about that. Look at this definition of tax. Because I studied all of that, like the SPC Vi Act of 1666. I studied that like in 2012, 2011, way back when they were talking about the ecclesiastical deed polls. Some of y'all don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about because y'all don't know where all this shit just began. Shit sounds good. You know, we were lost at sea. We ain't reported back in 7 years. And we didn't claim our estates, and we need to claim back our estates. So I need an affidavit of life. Like, what? Listen. I don't care who you are. My first video I watched was The Occult World of Commerce with Jordan Maxwell and Jason Whitney. First video I ever watched on this. The number one thing that stood out in that video is he said, it's all just business. Now, I'm going to tell you the same thing. I urge you, whatever process you're in, understand it's all just business. If you approach this with that mindset, you'll have more success. It's business. All this shit is business. You are in business. They're doing business. I don't mind the you claiming your nationality. That is fine. I have a problem with that. How are you going to do business with that? And here's the thing. You can't claim something and then keep on doing the same thing. Nothing changed in your conduct. Because in law, actions speak louder than words. They say that. You can look this up. Actions, they call it form versus substance. But it just translates into actions speak louder than words. What you do trumps what you say on paper. You should know that. You should know that. So claiming something and not following through with conduct that is commensurate with the claim is a waste of time. Lower courts don't have authority to say what the law is. Original jurisdiction is upstairs. Lower courts do have authority to make determinations. You're trying to say, and y'all need, okay, let me address that. Please stop saying they don't have jurisdiction. Will y'all please stop saying that shit? All right. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, you're making a conclusion of law, and you're always going to lose like that. You always ask a question. You don't know what the jurisdiction is until you ask them. You come in the door hollering about, you don't have jurisdiction over me. Well, what is the jurisdiction? They haven't said what the jurisdiction is because you didn't motherfucking ask them. That's what the Sixth Amendment is for. This is why we come in and say, Yana, I'll be more than happy to put in a plea. However, but first and foremost, there's a couple of matters I think that needs to be addressed. Number one, is it or is it not correct that I have a Sixth Amendment protected right to know the nature and cause of any action that I'm brought before? For the record, Your Honor. They have no choice but to say yes. They'll probably start taking off their glasses. Yes, you do. Getting ready for what's coming next. All right. And then your next thing is, okay, thank you, Your Honor. Is this a civil or criminal matter? This is a criminal matter, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Your Honor. Let the record reflect that the action being brought against the defendant is a criminal action. Now, sir, I have another question for you. The Constitution for the United States of America only grants this court two criminal jurisdictions. One is under the common law, and the other constitutes a condition of contract, under criminal aspects of a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. Colorable admiralty, not admiralty, colorable admiralty. Now, sir, for the record, would you please tell this court and myself under which two of these jurisdictions that you're operating under? You don't make conclusions of law. You always keep it in a state of inquiry. He who asks the questions is in control. I'm not making determinations on anything. I'm not educated in law. I'm just educated in the Constitution. And I need you, the public servant who went to 3 years of law school, and you've been practicing all these years, I need you to explain it to me. And you have a duty, and you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, did you not? So right now, we're going to take some steps to make sure, indeed, that you are upholding the Constitution. And so all that stuff that they be talking about, they be getting irritated, and guys posting videos on YouTube, fuck them. I don't care. We the people, we the sovereigns, they public servants. Yes, this is what I want you to do. I'm innocent until proven guilty. They wanted to treat it like McDonald's and just run through it like everybody else run through it. Here, sign this, plead guilty, and get the fuck out. And report to your probation office. That's what they want. They can't entertain. Yes, okay. I want everybody to pay attention right here. Okay. This is the mindset that I'm addressing right now. This is a mindset from 15 years ago. Let me read this. This is Nati Beyond Bay. All right. I'm going to read what he's saying, and then we're going to address it. I'm going to start up here. He said, nationals have permanent allegiance to a state. State government don't have the authority to regulate commerce. State governments, that's wrong what he's saying. State governments have the authority to regulate intrastate commerce. The federal government regulates interstate commerce and anything that affects interstate commerce, which is a much broader jurisdiction than what the states have. All right. But yes, the states do regulate commerce, my brother. I don't know where you got that from. The federal government has authority over interstate commerce, and the states have authority over intrastate commerce. Then he goes on to say, They get all, he said, nationals, what he said, but they can't wait a minute, it's the screen jumping. Let's see, where did he just say? He said, the state doesn't have the authority to regulate. It's beyond their jurisdiction. Federal government has to follow the Constitution and Peace and Friendship Treaty, their self-enforcing authority. Now, Natib Dion Bey, have you read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? Because I've read it. I don't see anything in there with the shit you're talking about. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it just says in there right there that if you kill somebody, the law of the land where you're at governs, and justice shall prevail. It is a trade agreement. I haven't seen the things that y'all talking about, brother. If you can point out the portions of it and post it for me that you're talking about in the Peace of Treaty and Friendship, because it's a trade agreement. Okay? I think a lot of you Moors who say that, y'all think that the people that you're talking to haven't read it. I read it. You should know that. I read it a long time ago. I made a video on it. They don't video on it. I didn't see what you're talking about. Okay, the next thing is this. The state doesn't have the authority to regulate. Okay, I already talked about that. The state, what are you doing? Posting the same thing over and over again? Lower courts don't have the authority to say what the law is. Original jurisdiction is upstairs. That's not true. That's not true. They have municipal authority. They have municipal law. And they also have state law. I don't understand what you're talking about. You're talking about they don't have authority. Yes, they do have authority. I see, when you say things like that, I don't understand. Where is he getting that from? That's the first question. Where did you get that from? Let me ask you that question. But this is the kind of stuff that gets spread around. And if I don't agree with it, I'm a what words y'all like to call? Y'all like to call people a gatekeeper. What other names? I've been called all kind of names. But let me tell you something. Don't none of these guys research to the level that I do. They don't read. I can talk to them all day. I can just see what they say. They just regurgitators. They regurgitate. They regurgitate. You got to get in the habit of saying this to people. Where did you get that from? Like if you in my Facebook group, people in my Facebook group, somebody come in there, these motherfuckers jump on anything, jump on anybody think who come in there. The first thing out of their mouth, like when somebody come in, they said, I got somebody in prison. How I get them out? They start throwing everything at them. First question out of your mouth should be, well, what did he do to get a life sentence? They don't even ask that. First thing you should do is say, where did you get that from? You know what that's going to cause? Because then when they provide you with the citation of authority or wherever they cite the source of their information from, now you get to make a determination. Did they understand what they were reading? They have to subject themselves to scrutiny. And that's why they don't like that. They have to subject themselves to scrutiny. It's like, okay, let me read what it is that you're claiming and see if I can make a determination. Did you understand what you just read? And more times than not, they didn't. Like as in the case of Minnesota Rule 220. That started all this birth certificate authentication. Facts, you don't ask questions. I have received a question from you in my inbox. Yeah, so what's the point of declaring nationality in the newspaper for 3 or 4 weeks? I don't know. I don't know. Because in today's world, listen, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to reason with you. I want y'all to walk with me right here. I understand the premise behind what they're saying with nationality and not wanting to be a 14th Amendment citizen. I understand that. There's a basis in that. I'm not challenging that. I'm not challenging any of that. All right? That's fine. I don't have a problem with people claiming nationality. I really don't. I don't. I just never saw how it had anything to do with commerce. I didn't see, I said, okay, well, what does this have to do with business? You claiming nationality? Because white people are having the same problems as Moors. White people, the posse comitatus, they're the ones that say they started all this stuff, right? So the white people claim nationality too. Why are they doing it? If you don't want me calling myself a black man, okay, well, what about the white people? Why are they out here doing it? They never were slaves or anything like that. Why are they doing it? White people are doing this. They're going through the same hell as they paying taxes. They getting arrested. They're going through the same shit we go. When you go to federal prison, it's Moors in there. Nation of Islam is in there. Hebrew Israelites are in there. Christians are in there. Sunni Muslims are in there. Jehovah's Witnesses are in there. Catholics are in there. White, black, Chinese, purple, green, orange. Everybody's in there. Except one group of people. Who want to guess who that group is? There's only one group of people I ain't never seen in federal prison en masse. Who y'all think that is? Never seen. Mormons in there. Y'all don't see a lot of Amish. I seen hillbillies. Hillbillies be in there. They go up into the mountains. I don't think them niggas and they still up in the mountains making moonshine. The feds is taking their ass up in the Tennessee hills and dragging their ass out of there with them long ass beards and shit. And put them in federal prison. Hillbillies some of the coolest dudes too, boy. Hillbillies, them white boys are cool as hell. Cool as hell. I met some cool ass hillbillies and shit. But white people having the same problem. So my question to you, if claiming my nationality is so important and because of my status is why I'm having problems, then why are white people having problems? Why are they having problems? Because white people started all of this. They started this. They've been on this like 20 years before we came in. There was only a few black people involved in it, like in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We didn't really start coming into it strong until like 2000 on. So why are they doing it? If they never were slaves, if they're already state citizens, if the Constitution was written for them, why is it that the white people are having so many problems? Anybody want to answer that? Anybody want to answer that? Why are the white people involved in the redemption? White people wrote the Redemption Manual 3, Cracking the Code, written by white people. The American, what is that? My man, Roger Kelly, who I had an opportunity to meet before he died. Rest in peace, Mr. Kelly, if you're listening. American Bulletin. American Bulletin were the original publishers of Cracking the Code. Okay? I went to all this information was coming out of Oregon and California when it first started out. That's where the Posse Comitatus and everybody was at. They was up there. All this stuff, the whole history of this movement, it started with white people. Why are white people fighting against the government so bad, and then y'all come on the scene and tell us that we need to claim our nationality, and the reason we having problems is because we call ourselves black. They call themselves white, and they still having problems. So what's the issue? Now, I'll tell you what the issue is. It's called a common denominator. Anybody want to tell me what the common denominator that all blacks and whites have in common in this country? What's the common denominator? What's the common denominator? Yeah, I actually had met Mr. Kelly. I did a seminar in Portland, in Oregon, and he came to it. He attended my seminar. I felt like I met a celebrity. I'm the celebrity, but I feel like I met a celebrity because I respect guys like that. He's been in the game a long time. Now, what's the social security number? Thank you. What's in common is all you got a social security number. You all got a social security number. They want to switch places with me. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you, you're more this Natib Yan Bey. Let me give you a piece of advice, brother. Listen to me very carefully. I was in the Nubian nation of Moors. For that, we were called the Ansar Allah community. Before they would call it Hebrew. Went by a whole bunch of different names. I put in Moorish, Nubian Constitution. I have it on SPC University. Yeah, it's right here. It's on eBay. Well, that's on Script too. Constitution of the United Nations. All right, very good. All right. All right, so right here, I'm going to show you my computer screen. Can I flip the screen? Yeah. All right, you see that right there? United Nubian Nation of Moors. All right. This is our Constitution. All right. Constitution of an indigenous peoples, the United Nubian Nation of Moors, the Constitution of the United Nubian Nation of Moors, an indigenous people. All right. And so I'm just showing you this to show you. Now, I was a part of this from 1990, probably 94, all the way like to 2000, 2003 or something like that. Okay. Why am I saying this to you? Okay. I know all about what it is to be a Moor. I know I probably know more than you do. Okay, I know a lot of information I don't talk about. I don't see how this relates to business. And just in my and I'm not saying I'm right about everything. However, I've studied this a long time. I've been involved in this 20 years. I've worked with people who do bonds. I'm talking about real people who monetize it and monetize them in the private and do things like that. I've had opportunity to sit and talk to judges and attorneys, and people reveal things to me in private and things like that. I just don't see how any of this relates to, well, explain this to me. You're saying that if I claim my nationality, just by doing that, they can't eat, they have to honor the Treaty of Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is a trade agreement. And in there some kind of way, what are you saying, that treaty allows me to kill somebody and not go to prison? That treaty allows me to incur a mortgage and not have to pay it? That treaty allows me to speed through a speed zone, a school zone, and if I speed, they can't pull me over? What is it that you are saying that claiming the nationality accomplishes? Let me ask you that question. Church and state are separated, but they're not separated anymore because the churches filed for a 501c3 and they're taking Federal Reserve notes. They were separate in the beginning in the aborting of the country when we're using gold and silver. Since that time, they're not separate anymore. That's why you can read a book in the Grip of Caesar, which will explain all that to you. It's called In the Grip of Caesar. In the Grip of Caesar. It's all it is about the churches and how they left the private side, and now they are engulfed in the public as well. When you go back and study the history of the Catholic Church and the Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way, too, they were the two biggest religious organizations fighting against public school. This is why you have today so many what? Most of the private schools are what? Catholic. Because they were one fighting for it. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't want no part of what they call the world or the state. But even though they send their children to public school, I would think if they had an opportunity, they wouldn't. They call it worldly. So churches get a tax ID number, and y'all do too. That's why y'all incorporated under the Religious Incorporation Act of Chicago, Illinois. When you read books, they almost verbatim are taken out of that Illinois statute. Did you know that? Have you read it? It's not a trust or anything like that. It is a corporation. And I studied everything about the Religious Incorporation Act of Chicago, Illinois. And what it is, you don't pay taxes because you're a religious organization. But you got permission from the state not to pay taxes. Not because you have a treaty or anything like that. It's just because you filed as a religious corporation under that act in Chicago. That's probably why he went to Chicago. I don't know. I don't know his reasons for doing anything. The people have a right to abolish the current government and start a new jurisdiction, correct? Well, according to the Declaration of Independence, they just tried that on Capitol Hill. You see what happened. Jurisdiction means one who has the authority to say what the law is. The power is with the people. And the people spoke the Constitution. It's called a delegation of authority through the Constitution. What are you talking about? That's called public rights doctrine. See, this is some basic civics. I'm seeing where you at. You don't have basic civics. Basic civics. There's public law and there's private law. On the public law, you have constitution, you have criminal, you have administrative, and you have tax. On the private side, you got contract, tort, property, and family law. There are more than this. You can flesh this out more, but these are the main ones. Constitution is called public law because the Constitution forms government and restrains government. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is saying I have constitutional rights. The Constitution doesn't give you any rights. The Constitution protects your rights, protects you from government who tries to encroach upon your private rights. Your rights are in the private. All right? Now, religion is a private matter. It's a separation of church and state. All that means is public and private because this is the state and this is the church. It's public and private. But when you cross this line, for any reason, you come under their jurisdiction. And you come under their jurisdiction when you accept any benefits and privileges. They're all corporations, so we don't have the right to form a corporation, issue declarations of authority with the state. The prophet brought us everything to save the nation. Okay, well, what did he bring you to save the nation? Okay, because the Quran Circle 7 comes from the Aquarian Gospels by Levi Dowling. Okay, so I'm not understanding what it is that he brought you to conduct business with. I mean, explain it to me. I don't know. You thought he brought you everything. See, you into that man worship. I'm not into that. The reason I brought up the Nawabian Nation of Moors, I've already been part of an organization. I was part of an organization, many black power organizations. I'm out of my black power phase. Y'all don't phase me with that because I see that y'all just doing the same thing we was doing 20 years ago. You ain't brought nothing new to the table. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you. The Moors were doing this. And somewhere along the line, I don't know if it was a Taj Tariq Bey or somebody like that, but y'all switched up and y'all got into this claiming nationality thing. But y'all were the ones that were doing everything I'm talking about right now. That's why if you go to the Kentucky UCC registry, go in there and look at all the UCC ones. Look at all the Moors file UCC ones in there. Just go over there and look and see the dates on them. I'm not lying. I've been doing this 20 years. So I've watched everything progress, change, how stuff spread around, how lies spread, you can't stomp them out. I'm like, damn, they still saying that? That's one of the advantages of being around for so long because you know where stuff started. You see how it morphed into something else. You see how a lie didn't die out. You see how misinformation is still spreading. You see all of that. I just seen everything. I saw what happened with Heather Antucci. Heather Antucci, that was about the third time that, watch it come out again. I guarantee you this. Somebody gonna come out and say you can buy stuff with the number on the back of your social security card in about 4 or 5 more years. It's gonna spread big. It's gonna be about the 4th time it's happened. And everybody who's new is gonna think it's the first time. Said that he left the European in power long enough to show us how to run the government. Oh my God. You know what that sound like? The first thing came to my mind when you said that. That's, Friday with Debo and the bike he said that, we're just letting Debo use our bike to show us how to use it until we get it back. So how are we going to take this government back from them? I'm just curious to know. I'm serious. I'm curious. How are we going to get the government back from it? Okay, since Noble Drew Ali allowed, because like the Nation of Islam has something similar with the big Yaqub, the big-headed scientist who allegedly extracted the white gene out of our body and allowed him to rule for 6,000 years. And at the termination of the 6,000 years, we are supposed to come back in power. Also, there's a prediction in Genesis 15:13 where Abraham, know for surety, Abraham, that your seed shall be foreigners in a land that is not theirs for 400 years. And afterwards, they'll come out with great substance, but the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet fulfilled. And we have to get into the identity of Amorite. The word Amorite means mountain dweller. All right, so I've heard similar things before. You're not the only ones that have said that. And I do understand that the truth is stranger than fiction. So I don't just categorically push something out as untrue. But what I have learned to do is to deal with today and what's right in front of my face. And what's right in front of my face is that you don't have any power. You're not in control of any resources on the planet whatsoever. You're not in control of any of the crops, the fields, the production, manufacturing, banking, or anything. You're not in control of nothing. All right. Now, I know things change. So you say we were left with everything. I'm interested in finding out how that's going to occur, because the majority of people, the only thing they're seeing from your organization is that you're running around saying that you need to claim nationality. That's the only thing I know about the Moorish Science Temple. And I've read the Quran Circle 7. It's a lovely book, Quran Circle 7. But I never hear y'all talk about it. I never see you on the internet proselytizing your doctrine to individuals, trying to get them spiritually grounded. The only thing that I see is all y'all want to say you're not black. Stop saying you're black. And I showed you that because we were saying the same 30 years ago. If you put the shirt on the character, you have to bend the knee. You will always be under their jurisdiction. No, you won't always be under their jurisdiction. You'll be under their jurisdiction if you do business with them. See, their jurisdiction is over commercial matters. You can get you some land and move out into the country and they'll leave you alone. What are you talking about? America's a big place. Why don't you do that? Why don't you go and get, this is what I don't understand. Like Dr. Malachi's New York, he had an understanding of it. He went and got 400 acres of land and started building his own community. Okay. That's what you do. You build your own community and then you police it. You put in your own police force and do it. You don't come into a city, a municipality, talking about, well, you're not under my jurisdiction. What are you talking about? Then why are you here? You're in a business district. Everybody in this business district is presumed to be engaged in some sort of business activity. America is a big country. If you don't want to do business, get your ass out the city and go into the country. You don't want to do that though, do you? You want to have your cake. That's what I'm getting at. This is the crux of the situation. Explain to me how you think you can do what you're saying and claim they don't have jurisdiction over you, but live in a city. That's the issue. This is the fundamental issue that I see 90% of you don't understand. Is you would form a trust. You'd have all the members have paid membership fees into the trust. You would appoint the shady trustees of the trust. And then as that money accumulates, y'all would say, okay, you give them a directive. Okay, we need you, once this gets to a couple of $1 million, we want y'all to go out and buy some property. We want y'all to go buy about 500 acres of land. Once you get that 500 acres of land, the next thing we do is we're going to keep donating money. We're going to bring in our contractors next. We're going to make our roads. We're going to start putting our buildings. We're going to start our businesses. The next thing you know, you have a community that is under you. You don't have to worry about nobody coming in because you got your own police force. You're policing yourself. You put our own police force in. That's how you do it. But what you're saying, you're trying to come into other jurisdictions trying to dominate, and you don't have no guns, you have no resources, you don't have any money, you don't have any authority. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, I know it sounds good, but see, I've been in Black Power organizations, so you can miss me with that good feeling, Black Power, we're the original people, and they trying to be like us. And I didn't heard that for 30 years. How much longer do you want me to keep hearing it? How much longer do you want me to keep hearing it? That's all I'm saying. I've been in this a long time, man. Man, it's a long time. I've probably been longer than this than some of y'all been alive. Some of you young cats on here. He said, I got this in my apartment complex. They got it on loud. So people yeah, turn it up so they can hear it. We got classes section. We got 200 people on TikTok, 100 on Instagram, and about 40 in my Facebook group. That's good. That's a nice little turnout. All right, so let's get to some more stuff. All right, so when you are doing what's called a status correction, I'm going to use that because I know y'all are all familiar with that term. What you're doing, it should be a status correction in commerce. All you are doing is encumbering, putting a lien against your estate, because everything operates off liens, to become first in line so they can't use your estate to create money in the public. That's all. That's all you're doing. It is an asset protection. It's wholly commercial. It don't have anything to do with your nationality. Nothing. It don't have anything to do with that. See, if you're saying that I am a Moor, you don't have jurisdiction on me, what you're saying, because you're talking about the treaty, right? Okay, let's read the treaty again. Let's read it. I just had it up. Where is it at? Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I just had it up. Where is it at? I just had it on the screen. Where I put it? Let me pull it up. Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Where I put it at? Keep all public charge deduction, ICE, discount. Let me just put in treaty. Treaty of Peace .pdf. All right. Now tell me what part in this treaty. Okay, I got it on the screen right here. Okay, this is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787. I know you probably came late because I read it already once. Here are the different articles. Which one of these articles that y'all are using to say they don't have jurisdiction over you? Which one? Because I was just reading like, okay, where is this right here? It says, what does it say right here about murder? If any of the citizens of the United States or any person under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted. All right. Well, that right there is something I talked about earlier, because when they arrest you in the feds and you are a foreigner, the first thing they ask you is you want us to contact the consulate. So when you get arrested, are y'all asking to speak to the consulate? Because the consulate is the one responsible for the commercial matters in a foreign jurisdiction of their citizens. So if you're claiming nationality and that you have Moorish nationality and you're claiming that you're a citizen of Morocco under this treaty, then that would apply to you. So every time you get into trouble, you should be asking to see the consulate. Is that not correct? What you're discussing should be governed by the people during commerce. And where is that in this, man? I'm not interested in information coming out of your head. I'm reading this. I don't need you to interpret anything for me because I can read this very well. And I understand. I've read it before. I want you to show me what section or what article are you talking about that prevents them from having jurisdiction over you. See, you got to put y'all feet to the fire because y'all make these statements that we under the treaty. I've read the treaty. And so did a judge. They got a ton of judges. If I go to Google Scholar right now and pull up more, I can do this right now. Let me show y'all something. I go over here to Google Scholar. Right here. There's Google Scholar. And I can put in case law and put in Moorish. Well, I put Moorish Trust, El Bay version. This is a good case too. Everybody should read that. We came and tried to usurp the Moorish science, this El Bay. I don't know, the Moors might know, but you got all these cases. I read these cases all the time. I read these cases all the time. You got to like Broadcast Music Incorporated, Moore Law Incorporated. You got Moorish. If I just put, let me take the Moorish Trust off. Moorish Scientific of America versus Smith. Moorish Vanguard, U.S. James right here. James, indicted for selling marijuana. I'm going to read this to you. I have never read this case before. This is in 2003. Indicted for selling marijuana and possessing a gun in connection with that crime, Frederick James offered the defense, and they put defense in quotation marks as if they're being sarcastic, like this is a serious defense, that his ancestors came from Africa, that he is therefore a Moorish national, and that as a result, he need only those laws mentioned in an ancient treaty between the United States and Morocco. This view of legal obligations is espoused by many adherents to the Moorish Science Temple, which was founded in 1913 by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Moorish Science is a heterodox Islamic sect based on teachings of Drew and his circle Quran. It is a tenet of Moorish Science that any adherent may adopt any title and issue any document he pleases. And I have to concur with that because a lot of y'all claim Moorish nationality and very few of y'all do a check to see what your true heritage is. Did you check and see what your true heritage? Like, look at me. Do I look like I come from Africa? I know for a fact I don't because my great grandmother is a Native American. We got a picture of her with a headdress, and my great grandfather is a jet black man, looked like he stepped right off the boat from Africa. But she's a pure Native American. My grandfather's Native American, and I can look at myself and see I got Native American in me. So I don't look like I come directly from Africa. But when we do our family tree, there's a lot of different groups of people connected in my ancestry. My aunt told me, she said, we went so far as white people on our family tree, which I think it is with definitely with anybody light skinned. So my question to you is where you get it. So I'm reading this. It says, Moorish Science, it goes on, it says, some members of this sect hand out what they call security agreements. Remember I was telling you that they were doing a security party back in the day? Security agreements that purport to oblige strangers to pay hefty sums of using the member's name. That's back when they was using the name defense. That come out of Cracking the Code 3rd edition, which they deemed copyrighted under the private legal system. James is among those who claim a right to compensation for every mention of his name. James demanded that the prosecutor, witness, and judge enter the compensation contracts before James would acknowledge the court's authority. Needless to say, the combination of wacky defense with the demand for payment every time James' name was spoken diverted the attention from the criminal charges which may have been his object. Laws of the United States apply to all persons within its borders, even if James were not a citizen of the United States, though he is having been born here, because you were born here, he will be obliged to respect the laws of this nation. Disdaining to obey federal law, James also refused to cooperate with his appointed lawyer, who would neither support his proposed defense nor enter into a compensation contract for the use of his name. Observing that James also contended that his arrest was a war crime and that the indictment was invalid, the grand jurors had not contracted for the right to use James' name, let alone put in all capital letters, appointed counsel asked the judge to refer James for a mental examination to determine whether he was able to understand the proceedings and assist in his defense. True to form, James refused to take a position on the issue. Okay, James was not allowed to go home, but was referred to a mental exam. I'm trying to look down here because they always do this type of shit, try to always talk about what it is that you believe. But I want to get to their ruling, because a lot of times their ruling don't go in line with it. Okay, the Constitution, he got some citations. The Constitution does not oblige the government to accommodate religiously motivated conduct that is forbidden by neutral rules. Southern Court Reporter, page 1595. Let me see. You ought to read this. Now I'm going to say this when I read this. Nowhere in this, when I read these kind of cases, and there are a lot of them, does it really say they're wrong in what they're saying. They usually defeat them on some sort of procedural maneuver, or if failure to state a claim upon relief can be granted, or some shit like that. So, because they do the same thing with secure party. They come in, mock them, do things like that. However, you will read some cases where the judge, he will go in and say, okay, you were born here in America. How are you a citizen of Morocco? And you were born in the United States. You got a birth certificate in the United States of America. How do you get over that? See, the thing is, this is my approach. All right. The thing is, the government, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. All the government recognizes, all they recognize is public and private. Y'all probably, if you were on here last time, you saw me got into an argument. Was it yesterday with that police officer and almost get arrested? Because they were saying that Bank of America, or the building, I went back up there, by the way, if y'all are watching. I went back up there. I went up there suited and booted and had a meeting with them guys. But they're telling me that the bank building is on private property and the sidewalk was public. Now, I want to challenge that because, number one, under UCC 1-202, like I asked him, you don't have any private property signs up. Well, we know where the private property is. I said, well, okay, that can be tested in court because that's arbitrary and capricious. When I take you to court, you're going to have to prove what you're saying. But right now, you can't come out here and threaten to arrest me talking about I'm on private property and you don't have any private property signs up. You haven't given any notice to the public of where the demarcation line is that separates the public from the private. Everything is about public and private. Moors are private. Amish are private. Native Americans are private. All these people over here. This is all the law recognizes in law. The public, what side of the fence are you on? So when you say you don't have jurisdiction on me, you got to be saying you're in the private, because private means no government. And that's in every country. Public and private law is in every country, even Morocco. Listen, I don't care who the Constitution was written by. So what? It was written by a free national black man. So what? What does that mean? So what? Is his signature on it? On the document that we use, is his signature on it? So what? I can say the same thing. The Quran Circle 7 was written by who? the author of the Aquarian Gospels. So what? Black and White is brands owned by you. Okay, let me move on to somebody else. I ain't been getting that right there. Cause see how he's saying black and white are brands. So what? Black and white are brands owned by the U.S. So what? What does that have to do with business? Either you're engaged in business or not. Are you doing, the only question I want to know, yeah, you're more, all that's good. Are you doing business within the United States or not? Answer that question for me. You claimed your nationality. I need you to answer the question. Does claiming your nationality allow you to do business within the United States and have what's called diplomatic immunity? Meaning, I guess in commercial terms, you don't have to pay no taxes. You can't get arrested for nothing or nothing like that. If you can operate within their jurisdiction and not get taught and not get touched, is that what you're saying? All that other shit you're saying, I could give a fuck about. It don't mean shit to me. I've heard it 3,452,823 times. I don't care. I want to know about business. How does this affect business? I don't give a fuck about that black and white shit y'all talking about. How does that affect business? We're talking about corporations, right? We're talking about commerce, right? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is a trade agreement. I'm just trying to find out. I'm in my apartment. The book Cracking the Code, 3rd edition, DM me and I'll send you. I mean, it's on the internet. Y'all can Google it. It'll probably come up on the internet. It's all over the internet. It's in my Facebook group. Probably about 50 times, Cracking the Code. We got to, listen, if you are a member of my Facebook group, we have a file section. Y'all know it's like over 1,000 documents in there, free books, PDFs and everything right there in the Facebook group. Y'all know that in the Facebook group? You in the Facebook group? Y'all know that? We have a file section. Let me see if I can show everybody. I'm going to try to show everybody in our Facebook group. All right, so right here, you see where I say recent files? And you can just click all. We got a ton of files. Look at, you see all these documents in here? It's loading down there. We got documents for days. People that uploaded all kind of stuff in here. You go all the way down, stop foreclosure. These are all free documents. I'm gonna show the other people too. Y'all see all these free documents? This is all in our Facebook group. Right here, SPC University. Right there, file section. Files. All these files and everything. It's time to PDF. Cracking the Code is in there. Everything is in there. For free. I put it in there so I don't have to put it on my website anymore. Everything is in there. You just go over there. Ton of shit in there. It's like 1,000, probably 1,000, 2,000 documents in my Facebook group. I don't even know everything that's in there. I mean, people upload all kind of shit. But it's books, Cracking the Code is in there, trust documents, American jurisprudence, everything is in there. I don't understand why people just don't join the group just to get that. And it's free to join. You just got to answer the question. If you join my Facebook group and you think them questions I asked you before you join, that you're not going to answer every one, I only look at, when you ask to join, I look at you for, I move past you. Then, if you answered all the questions, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at your profile and see if you're a person that's even in what you posted on your Facebook group, on your Facebook page, and to see if you're the type of person that we want in our group. No heads up. All right, so there's a whole bunch of shit in there. Oh, let me show you the people over here too. On TikTok. All right, so you join on TikTok. This is my Facebook group. All right. We have a file section right here. And these are all the files. I mean, it's probably 1,000 files in here, man. Y'all just go over there and join for free. And it don't cost nothing to join SPC, that Facebook group. The Facebook group, I like everybody. I prefer to be in the Facebook group teaching and talking because, you know, it's everybody who have the same interests in that one space. And it's easier for me. You know, like right now I'm live streaming from my Facebook group, but it's only 33 people on, even though I got 30,000 people in there. But I got more people on Instagram and TikTok. By the way, y'all like this and everything. Anyway, yeah, don't cost nothing to join. Just answer the questions, man. And you're joined. All right, look, I gotta get out of here now. I'll come back a little later on. I want y'all to think about. Oh, yeah, I don't have any problems with you, Beyond Bay. I don't have any problem. The only thing, you know, I'm sincerely asking these questions because they have to be asked because there's a lot of stuff I didn't understand. I didn't understand public versus private. I didn't understand the purpose of status and how it affected this is what I think people don't understand. The world has moved on to another, it's something different now. Like it is wholly involved in business and commerce. They didn't turn the whole world into a commercial arena. Everything is commerce, is commercially related. And so what I've come to understand is that people are not really concerned with your color. They're concerned about what you know and how you conduct business. And the people who don't like business, they're the ones who be bitching and complaining, talking about I don't like that shit, fuck that and everything. They just don't know business, you know, and they ain't trying to learn. Which is okay. I mean, you know, that's okay. I mean, it's not for everybody, but don't sit around talking about, because you living in a municipality, under municipal law, and then you talk about somebody who has jurisdiction over you. If you don't want to be associated with it, then go get you some land and move out of the city. That's what you're supposed to do. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want to do. It's like Pastor, what's that pastor name? Pastor, I haven't seen him on the air in a while too. But his name is, he was on I follow him on YouTube. He went out and got his own land. They growing their own food. They built their own houses. I said, that's how you do it. He a Hebrew Israelite. That's how you do it. But I like driving a Hellcat. I like staying in condos. I like that shit. Secure Party was created for business people who wanted to move in the system, maintain anonymity, and be able to facilitate commerce through utilizing artificial persons over onto this other entity. This is all about taxes and liability. Everything in the public is about taxes and liability. And either you want to limit your liability or totally eliminate your taxable liability, all of that. There are ways of doing that. And the skilled businessman and woman understands that. They learn how to do it and they become successful. And the lazy, belligerent, ignorant person who sits around and complains all day doesn't ever learn it and wants to constantly talk about how evil the government is. Now, I might sound like a gatekeeper for saying that, but somebody got to tell the truth. I kicked you out of the group. You never sell information. All right, well, come on back in. If I kicked you out, you feel like I kicked you out unfair, come on back in. I'll put you back in. I got you entered resting in learning the SPC. I learned from Morris. Morris taught me this. We were all in this in the beginning. Listen, man. In 2000, we wasn't doing this shit y'all doing. Morris wasn't doing this shit you doing. No. It wasn't walking around talking about nationality and all that shit. It wasn't doing that. It was not. And that's all I was dealing with was Morris. That's why I'm called Yusef. Listen, I'm called Yusef. Let me tell you the story behind why I'm called Yusef. Yusef is a Moorish name. Okay. How did I get the name? I was a part of a, let me just say it like this. I was a part of an order in the Nubian nation. We had an Egyptian order and a Moorish order. So everybody got a name. We were issued a name. My name was issued as you increasing or adding to. And I was kind of upset about that. You know, I'm like, damn, because everybody else got these long names like Joshua, Israel, Shekatak, El. You know, everybody had these long, pretty names and shit. And when I got my name, it was just Yusef El. So I'm like, fuck. Why did I just get this short ass name? And it came on a membership card and all this. I got this name about 25 years ago. All right. So when I started Blog Talk, when I started my Blog Talk, I decided that I was going to talk about the prison industrial complex because that's what, and you know, because that's what I relate all this stuff to, is trying to get out of jail, not getting free shit or anything like that. All right. But, so when I started, I knew I would have an audience because 1/3 of all black men have been locked up, have been through the system before. So my target audience were those people when I started off with my radio show. When I started my radio show off, my first listening audience was in Baltimore, Maryland, which is heavily Moorish. And everybody calling into my show was a Moor. Everybody calling into my show was a Moor. And I got to the point, I'm like, well, shit. I said, I got a Moorish name. I got a Moorish name too. I said, so let me just start calling myself Yusef El. I called myself Yusef El, and my popularity skyrocketed, and I couldn't take that name back if I wanted to. I couldn't take Yusef El back if I couldn't call myself nothing else if I wanted. Everybody started calling me that. I'm known by that name all over the world now. It's like, you know, it's like, damn, you know, and I was just sitting back, God dang, everybody called me, you know, people started calling me Yusef El, left and right, and I just got very popular under that name. But when I chose the name, the reason I chose it, I had an audience probably about 30, 40, 50 people, and they were all like in that Maryland, Baltimore, New Jersey area. And there's a whole bunch of Moors. So, matter of fact, that's why I did my seminar, was up there. And there were so many Moors used to listen to me. So I wanted to, you know, like, okay, you know, I'm a Moor too. And, you know, I understand the Moor. And I said, well, you know, I'll start calling myself, since everybody calling got a Moorish name, you know, I better start calling myself a Moorish name too, because I got a Moorish name too. And it was issued to me like 25 years ago when I was a part of this organization. And I never really used it. And I started using it. I'm going to tell you something. It was a blessing when I used that name, because when I started using that name, I blew up so big. I didn't even understand it, man. It was almost like that name was a blessing or something, because it was like, and let me say this to you too, babe. No offense about anything. In our organization, we didn't use the word Bey. Bey is Turkish. That is not what we consider, because y'all talk about, you know, want to be a part of Black Power organization. We were Hebrews, really we everything, but we in our organization only use the word El. We did not use the word Bey. So everybody in our organization, their designation is El. So I'm not a part of the Moorish Science Temple. However, the tenets of Noble Drew Ali, we had to study. So we had to study the Quran Circle 7. We had to study the Quran. I had to study Islam, take a Shahada. And I had to study Hebrew Israelite information, Christianity, and Judaism. That's why I talk about all of them, because we had to study all that stuff. And so, you know, but I got that name El during that period of, we call them schools of thought. So when I was in the school of thought of Moorish nationality, I adopted the name Yusef El. But then we went to other schools too. We went to Egyptian school, a lot of, you know, so people, when they look at Dr. Malachi Z. York, they say, well, why he keep changing and doing that? It wasn't that he was changing. Dr. York, his philosophy was, you can't talk about a religion that you haven't lived. So if you want to talk about Islam, I can talk about Islam because I lived as a Muslim. Okay? If somebody ain't lived it, can't talk about it. they haven't read the Quran. They ain't taken Shahada. They ain't did 5 salats. They don't do anything. They don't do the pillars of Islam. None of that stuff. I haven't studied Arabic or anything like that. But they want to criticize Islam or criticize Moorish nationality. So I think I'm in a position where I can critique the Moorish Science Temple of America. I don't have anything against them. So I have very good friends in the Moorish Science Temple of America, as well as the Nation of Islam. And there's some differences between those two organizations. I don't have any differences with any of those organizations. I respect all of them. But sometimes, as a matter of fact, the only reason I start bumping heads with them because they start coming at me, thinking that because my name is El, I should be teaching their doctrine. And I'm like, nah, I'm not teaching the doctrine. I understand your doctrine better than you do. That's always been my position. And I know that sounds arrogant, but that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't think y'all understand what you're talking about. Because true spirituality, the path, the Sirato Mustaqim, the path of the straight and narrow, is a spiritual journey. And that spiritual journey begins with understanding spiritual laws. So your organization, when I look at the Quran Circle 7, like for instance, in the Quran Circle 7, when it says, let me see if I can pull something out real quick. All right, Holy Quran Circle 7. All right. I love this book. I love the Quran Circle 7, by the way. I think it's beautifully written. I don't really care that it was, that there's some, colored history behind the document of its origin and things like that. Hell, it's something fishy about the origin of all these books. They don't have an original Quran. They don't have an original Bible. All right. They got the oldest Bible, the Latin Vulgate, which is in the possession of the Catholic Church. And they got a Malay script, a Quran. I don't know who has possession of it, but none of them are the original documents. They don't have an original Bible, and you don't have an original Quran. So the Christians and the Muslims, they're not in a position really to talk about anybody's religion. They need to mind their business and stick to the tenets of their religion. All right, which is okay. They said it was inscribed on the Sahaba of the Prophet. No problem. It was committed to memory. Got it. Fine. All right. However, the burden of proof is on he who asserts, not he who denies. And if you don't have the original document, then you don't have proof of what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, now we can get into a discussion about the number 19, how it's a seal on the Quran and how that proves some stuff. Fine, have no problem about that. All right, but right here it says the creation of man. It says, I love how it starts off. It says, time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. That's so big. That's so beautiful. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. The finite mind cannot comprehend things infinite. The finite cannot circumscribe the infinite. That shit is so fucking beautiful, man. The way that was phrased. Now, this is a universal principle, but that's poetry. That's the way it starts off is so poetically beautiful that the finite cannot circumscribe the infinite. All finite things are subject to change. Now, if you read the Kabbalion, the Egyptian Kabbalion, harmonize right with it. For all finite things are subject to change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and souls of men are finite things and they will change. Yea, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not a body, nor the soul, which is the emotional component. The spirit and soul are two different things. Nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative fate gave to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul, gave him a body of the flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give the spirit man soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of the flesh that might function on the plane of things that are made manifest. I mean, this is beautiful. Now, the verbiage that's being used here is different, but it's saying the same thing that the Kabbalion is saying. Now, if you are a student, this is why it's important to study different religions. So your panoramic view of everything will increase, and now you'll get a bigger understanding. When y'all stay in those religions and never leave, y'all stunning your growth. You shouldn't stay a Christian forever. You shouldn't stay a Muslim forever, and you shouldn't stay a Moor forever. Those are schools. When are you going to graduate? When are you going to graduate to godhood and goddesshood? Because that's all they are. They're schools to teach you to become gods and goddesses. Names man created. But this is beautiful. I love the Quran. So you'll never hear me say nothing negative about this book. But what you will hear me say something is that the adherents to this religion never talk about it. I don't see y'all posting stuff from it, doing nothing like that. All I see is y'all saying, did you claim your nationality? And y'all got this beautiful book that is a roadmap to immortality, and you don't even use it. And I'm supposed to respect that? I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do that. Very beautiful, a very beautifully written book. The Quran Circle 7. Anybody should have it on your shelf. Everyone should have it on their shelf, and you should read it. The thing about it is like they call it fate, like manifest on the physical plane or on the plane of manifestation. You know, you have solid, liquid, and gas, or as above, so below, which is the mental, spiritual, and physical. The physical being the plane of manifestation, the mental being the causal plane of manifestation. When you understand that, you can read this. He's saying the same thing. He's just using different verbiage, different ways to describe it, because he's a different teacher. But there's only one truth. There's only one truth. There's not a multitude of truths. There's only one truth. And if you really had an open mind and you really were serious about your spiritual development, when you read, like I read the Sufis make beautiful. But you got Muslims who think that they are crazy. I look at him, I said, look, every religious branch has a mystical component. The Christians have Christian Science. The Jews have the Kabbalah. The Muslims have Sufism. All right? And what they do is they bring you into those lower orders, like Christianity, and they watch you. And they see if you are a person we can bring up to the next level, or if you need to remain amongst the herd. No different than when you pledge, I guess, like a sorority or fraternity in college. Those are just stepping stones to higher orders. Like the Eastern Stars is really the they call it Eastern Star, but it's really they're really saying Ishtar, which is another name for Mother Nature. That's the female side, of the, you have the, who is that? The Masons, and you have the Eastern Stars. But all of them are borrowing from Egypt, their doctrines. And that's why you should read the Quran Circle 7. And the Kabbalion. Read the Kabbalion and then come back and read all these books. The Kabbalion is the key that helps you understand all religious texts. If you understand what you're looking at, because it gives you the principles behind spirituality. Now you can take those principles and look into that religion, and if those principles are present, you have a valid religion. If they're not present, you got some bullshit. But a religion that does not have the principles in it, it won't last long anyway. It's going to die out. Anything that is not in harmony with natural law principles dies. It's not going to stay because it's not truth. It's not the truth. Yeah, the Kabbalion. All right, y'all. Would it be better to be in business than to concern ourselves with the SS numbers and nationality? I think so. My question to you is, what'll make you happy? Everybody don't want to be a Moor. Why y'all think everybody want to be in the Moor Science Temple? Y'all think y'all going to convert Christians and, Y'all not converting those Sunni Muslims. You're not converting that. They might come and blow y'all shit up. You're not converting them. It's 1.2 billion Christians on the planet, 1 billion Muslims, 750,000 Indians. You're not converting them, man. That's almost a third of the population on the planet don't have nothing to do with your beliefs. You're not converting them. And you ain't going to convert them in America. You're a small organization in America. You think you're going to convert everybody to your way of thinking? The only thing that unifies everybody is money. Because everybody needs money. All right, y'all. Look, I gotta go. That's it for today. It's 12:46. I've been on here some hours. Hopefully, y'all got something from this. I will see y'all on my next live. Hopefully, you'll sign up for SPC University because this week I am starting the webinars on SPC University. I had to delay it a little bit because I don't want to be doing webinars and people aren't signed up and signed in, and I'm converting all these people. So we will be doing the webinars. And I'm going to have some guest speakers on as soon as we get everybody locked in, taking off. And I expect that to be this Saturday at 11 a.m. in the morning, only on SPC University. Peace to the gods. I'll see you later. Peace. I'm out.